Hello, everybody. I didn't realize my mic wasn't muted, but get to hear the things that I do with while I wait for these streams to start. They're trying to tell us something. That trans people are dope. Yeah. Also, the soundtrack is just really good. So, I mean, might as well. But hello, everybody. How's everybody doing today? Hope everybody's having a great one. Today's been awesome for me because it's cold again. It rained a couple days ago, so it's been like really, really cool the past few days. Maybe I'm a lasagna, just a little. Yeah. Hi, Chrissy. Welcome in. Welcome in. That's the way I need that knob to go. Yeah. It's been a bit of an interesting week for me. I have, I had a first round job interview on Tuesday, I think. So I have been waiting all week for word back from that. Haven't gotten anything. But yeah, I got a job interview, so progress, y'all, progress. I also finished that GTFO video. Oh my god, that I'm so proud of that video. Like, if you don't go watch it, I did some graphics work in that I'm so proud. I actually learned After Effects, which is crazy, to do some of the stuff, some of those like transition cards, that I'm super proud of. Hi Quinn, welcome in. Watched half of it and decided to watch the rest later. Yeah, I'm super proud of the stuff I did in that video. I also think it's funny as shit, but you know, that's for y'all to decide, not me. We definitely had a time recording that video. And so now actually what I've started doing is I have recorded just obscene amounts of GTFO footage because we've been playing a lot of GTFO, and so I've recorded almost every single one of our sessions. Let me see how much we've actually done. And so because of that, I'm like, I kind of want to make a video about this game now in like a more essay style, just because like I am fascinated by how this game works. No shot I have 150 fucking gigs of GTFO footage on my hard drive right now. Good lord. I need to go back and delete some old ass footage here. But yeah. Yeah, we don't worry about it. We don't worry about it. It's what, like, of all these, yeah, of all my GTFO footage is 150 gigabytes of footage. But no, it's not that much. The reason why it's so much is because we play a lot, and by nature of GTFO, every session is like, because every mission in the game, or most missions in the game, take upwards of an hour to an hour and a half to do. So a session of GTFO is minimum an hour and a half, or minimum an hour. There are a handful of missions that are like really, really fast comparatively. Like there's one that I uploaded on my second channel, a run that we did on that I uploaded on my second channel. That was like 20-30 minutes. Recording a higher bitrate than IRL. No, I only record at like, what is my recording bitrate at? I only recorded like 7K. So, but because I have so much of this footage, I have a lot of things that I want to say about GTFO and like how rewarding its difficulty is. And like kind of all that jazz. So yeah, I have things I want to say about GTFO, so I might make a video on it. To do something with all of this fucking footage that we have of us. And it's really cool having all this footage because you can kind of track our improvement as a group. Because we have very much improved as a group. Like what the gameplay that you see in the video that I released this week is a very far cry from the gameplay that we're recording now and the stuff that we're doing now. We are leaps and bounds better, and just that alone, I think, is really fascinating to watch and look at. Just to see us like get better as a group, get more comfortable, be more confident, push ourselves with harder levels. It's just, I just think it's really cool. I think it's really cool. But anyways, I have so many video ideas now, and like it's just kind of, I wanna tackle all of them, but also I don't. Like it's that kind of ADHD paralysis of like, I have so many ideas, I want to do all of them, but also I don't have the motivation to do any of them. Like partly because school, partly because, you know, whatever. But yeah. Anyways, let us watch the reveal stream. So I'm not entirely, I haven't seen any of this stuff, so I don't know what I'm gonna expect here. All I know is Casterus, really. That's about it. Yeah. Okay. Let us watch.
I just want to know if my touch, if my embrace can do more than taking things away. Can I make an
Hey y'all, hey y'all, hey y'all, hey y'all, hey y'all. Hey y'all.
Can I leave anything?
Regional girlfriend.
Can I make anything?
Stell's yearly girlfriend. You know what this looks like? Let me boot up the game real fast. What region is March? Well, she she was the first one, right? It partly makes me think of Horb, but it also makes me think the game is muted. Don't worry about it. Right away, it makes me think of that. It makes me think of In the Night. Kind of. Maybe. Unfortunate Phantom, have a good day regardless.
Can I leave any?
That like kind of still has no explanation. I know it's crazy, but it's also so cool because you know it's Zila. That's kind of her whole deal is being an anomaly.
Anything behind?
Also gay.
But now,
This is giving me HI3 Chapter 2 vibes a little bit. Kind of. These looks like spines.
perhaps I might.
Butterflies. Welcome to part 2. Yeah, part 2 specifically. What's up with butterflies in this game, dude? Jesus. Like they're almost as pervasive as the number 3. It's kind of ridiculous.
I'd have one last chance.
Is that a scythe? She has a scythe. She's literally Zila. She's literally Horb. Castris is literally Horb.
Sleep now.
Oh! Oh, go off, girl. What's with the number 3 in this game? It's fucking everywhere if you look at it. I first noticed it with, I have a whole video about it, back when I actually still made videos about this game. About how the number 3, especially in the context of something like Swarm Disaster. Swarm Disaster was really annoying with it, but yeah, the number 3 comes up a lot in this game. Finality Eye. That? Oh, that. Yeah, that sure is a I wonder. I wonder if this is finality.
Embrace new life.
Good lord. Holy shit. And the fucking butterflies. What is up with the butterflies? These are in the butterflies are in Penacony too. Like they're everywhere. They're in every single region. If you look at the decor in Penacony, I want to say in Bellabog too. I don't know about the Shenzhou, but I know for a fact in Penacony because I noticed this in Penacony. These butterflies are everywhere. Like they're in like these little like picture frames on like shelves and stuff inside of the hotel, right? Like they are everywhere. They're and like I know I noticed them before as well because I think they're in Belobog too. So like, what is up with these butterflies? Like I thought it was just like I kind of wrote them off in Penacony. Like it was weird that they were there, but were they just reusing assets? But they're here too. So,
Professor, I completed the proof you wanted.
now that's an image. It's cool as shit, actually. The moon.
As expected, this is the moment when the flame chase journey is the closest to its end. I see. In that
What is up with a
case,
Naxa?
let the show begin.
He has just a fucking gun. Okay.
Soul. An undisputed victory. Fusing
I love that.
with that of a titan.
You are
replace
so
said
anime.
titan is not a ludicrous idea after all.
Oh no, it's the lesbian.
Plain as day.
It is my hope that you bring a much-needed change to this world.
I have deciphered the truth of this world.
Whoa. Hi, Cypher. I have deciphered the truth of this world.
Change to this world.
I have deciphered the truth of this world.
I will bring rest to death.
Your lonely pursuit is about to welcome a new chapter.
Stagnant life will once again flow. May I borrow your
The sky
word
above
one
us,
last
it's
time?
not real, is it?
Oh, the Genshin parallels just keep coming, dude.
Sow the seeds of suspicion.
Oh, hug.
Soul!
This embrace may be brief, but it's the proof that I once lived.
Aww. Through the petals of the land of repose. Okay.
The answer is plain as day.
It is my hope that you bring a
Do we have English subtitles on this? No. Why? Come on.
much-needed change to this world.
I have deciphered the truth of this world.
I will bring rest to death.
Your lonely pursuit is about to welcome a new
Is it, oh, they have a build. Okay, got it.
chapter.
Stagnant life will once again flow. May I borrow your
The
word?
sky above
Okay, I'm actually gonna pull up the actual, like, not the stream, but the trailer itself, because that's gonna have.
I just want to know if my touch, if my embrace, can do more than taking things away.
This is
Can
also
I
higher
make
quality.
anything? Can I leave anything behind? But now, perhaps I might have one last chance.
Literally so horror coded.
Sleep now. Embrace new life, Pollux. Professor, I completed the proof you wanted.
As expected, this is the moment when the flame chase journey is the closest to its end. I see. In that case, let the show begin. Straight to the soul. An undisputed victory. Fusing immortal soul with that of a titan to replace said titan is not a ludicrous idea after all.
What's around her feet there?
To replace said titan.
Wait, okay, so-
Fusing immortal soul with that of a titan to replace said titan is not a ludicrous
Oh, it's him bowing at her feet. Got it. Okay.
idea after all. The answer is plain as day.
It is my hope that you bring a much-needed change to this world.
I have deciphered the truth of this world.
I will bring rest to death.
Your lonely pursuit is about to welcome a new chapter.
Stagnant life will once again flow. May I borrow your
The
word
sky above us,
one last time?
it's not real, is it? sow the seeds of suspicion.
That reads like forbidden knowledge almost to me. Also, this is like an egg? Like, this is giving me egg vibes. Specifically? With how it's like broken here. Oh yeah, shit, it's a fucking cocoon. It is so cocoon. Oh my god. Oh, that is definitely... Hi, Hikaru, welcome in. Yeah, no, that is definitely like a cocoon vibe. What's up with the water? Like, what's up here? No, like, because I'm genuinely, like, interested in the finality vibes here.
This embrace may be brief, but it's the proof that I once lived.
Gauge. Okay, anyways. What are your thoughts so far about 3.2? Well, I just watched the trailer, that's it. Casters looks cool as shit. That's about it. Oh, these things are back. I low-key think Casters will leave like Mighty too. Really? I mean, that makes sense, I guess.
Whether or not your world has legends about dragons. Good morning, good afternoon, and
As in like Mighty, I kind of, so he, yeah, he's in Castrum Kremnos, he's on that throne. I like, he's still around in the story, but he's doing his own thing.
good evening. 欢迎各位来到3.2版本前瞻特别节目，我是主持人麋鹿。来，我们开门见山啊！两位解释一下开拓者这是
God, I
怎么
love
回
this
事？
art.
这么直接吗？要不我们几个也先跟大家打个招呼
He's？ straight up. Yeah, just by the way, that is my, no, I don't. I have the game open, so I can't show you, but this art is my background. That is my
大家
wallpaper
好，
on my
我是
Discord.
崩坏星穹铁道由 CIP
Man's literally named Teacup. Hell yeah.
茶杯。
Go
大
off.
家好，我是游戏 IP TT。
大家好，我是任务设计米娜米。那现在请两位熟面孔立刻马上解释一下这是什么情况。
哎，问你了，皮皮老师。
好的，那请容我慢慢道来。在3.1版本的主线故事中，开拓
Probably
小
take
队
his
与黄
duty
金翼伙
over
伴
when
们
she
遭遇
takes
了
the
一
core
连串的变
flame.
故，不得不与2位半神伙伴道别，其中1位伙
I mean,
伴
yeah.
甚至付出了生命的代价。
Of
大家
that
虽然暂
tracks.
时击退了强大的盗火行者，也顺利解决了纷争神性悬置的问题，可还有其他一系列紧迫的危机有待众人解决。可以说，烛火之旅和开拓之旅都面临诸多的内忧外患。那烛火之旅这边呢，欧洛尼斯意外陨落，而岁月半神候补的黄金翼却始终都没有现身。既是迫不得已，也出于对开拓者的信任，黄金翼向欧洛尼斯亲自认可的我们抛来了橄榄枝。
这也是我心中最合适的人选。
成为半神听起来是件好事，但在亲眼目睹先前几位半神的经历之后，开拓者和丹恒也深知成为半神究竟要付出多大的代价。不仅如此，我们还会很快面对开拓之旅的难题，也就是刚才大家看到的3.1故事结尾，提宝为开拓者揭示的未来。
所以究竟是在什么时候？
一切原有始末在3.2版本会由欧洛尼斯亲口为大家揭晓。但大家现在不必过于担心，因为开拓者的状态还是并无大碍的，甚至他还是为众人夺回死亡火种的关键人物。
没错，黄金翼伙伴们呢，尤其是身负
Cypher's
死亡
already
泰坦
demigod.
诅咒
Yeah,
的
I mean,
侠姐
I'm skipping
他也
that
非常
step,
关
I
心开拓
guess.
者的情况。在开拓任务走过安眠地的花丛中，开拓者将和侠姐
The
同行
land of
共同寻找死亡
repose.
泰坦塞纳托斯的下落。
Interesting.
蛱蝶拥有死亡之处的天赋，天生对死亡的气息非常敏感，想必应该知道去哪儿找塞纳托斯。
哎，其实不然，塞纳托斯的去向成谜，已经失踪很久了。那多年来呢，蛱蝶一直在寻找他的所在，想搞清楚究竟为什么是自己来肩负死亡的诅咒。
I still can't read Thanatos and not
也
think
是为了
of
解
the
开侠蝶的
one
困惑，我们将会前往名为斯提克西
of
亚
the
的城堡。
Evangelion
这座
song.
被历史遗忘的美丽小城，与传说中的死亡泰坦有着
Priscilla, all of her
千丝万缕的联系。
motifs
而在
were
3.1 版
taken
本
or
与我
ripped.
们分别的2位朋友，也会以某种特别的方式在3.2版本登场。
哦， 我在之前的 PV 中见到过斯提克西亚这个名字，好像是一座建在海边的城邦，是吧？
没错。很久很久以前，斯提克西亚被称作巨龙与海浪的城邦。
That is interesting. Holy shit. Okay. So big ass moon. Moon's haunted. Moon's haunted.
有着海洋明珠的美称。不过呢，根据预言师的记载，在经历了一场恐怖的龙灾后，斯提克西亚已然覆灭。在那之后，这里沦为了一片废墟，只剩下一片冥海。
确实感觉阴森
Environmental
森的。
design, yeah,
这些
is
白色的东
absolutely
西是
crazy.
龙的骨头吗？
没错，斯提克西亚不仅游荡着人类的亡灵，同样也是传闻中巨龙陨落的地方。只不过千百年来，无论是这个城邦本身，还是这条巨龙的传说，都已经被温法洛斯渐渐遗忘了。
哦，好的。那既然我们这次前往了斯提克西亚这样一个全新的地方，会有一些不一样的任务体验吗？
会有的，在
Two
斯提克
moons
西亚的
suspicious.
探索
Where's
过
the
程
third?
中，我们可以使用
I
身
know
边
there's
的
a
提灯
third.
照出原来不存在的通路。当我们提着灯环顾四周，会发现只有脚下的一个小浮空平台，其余的地方都隐匿于黑暗之中。
有种踏空而行、穿梭在两个时空的感觉。
除此之外呢，开拓者还会在路上遇到一些亡灵 NPC。
There
在
was
这些
four,
灯光
actually
的映照
4?
之下
No way.
NPC
I
会
don't
从幽
believe
魂状
it.
态变成真正的人。
这些亡灵也是曾经生活在这里的居民，对吧？
是的，从他们口中，我们将获取更多斯提克西亚相关的信息。
不仅如此，在斯提克西亚的探索过程中，开拓者和侠蝶还会与名为冥魂渡者、死龙残躯波吕克斯的怪物相遇，并且和他展开一场战斗。
要介绍新敌人了是吧？这个名字还真是典型的翁法罗斯风格。我乍一听上去还以为我们同时要打3条龙
啊，其实它是一条龙，你也可以直接叫它波吕克斯。
波吕克斯的特点在于它对我方造成的大部
What
分
is going on here?
乍一听上去还以为我们同时要打3条龙
啊，其实它。
If you guys decide to check out Genshin artifact lore, oh, there's artifact. Okay, I might have to do that then. What is going? Is the dragon's head buried in the egg? The lantern judged that the 6 moons were not balanced and such erased 4 moons and left only red and gold moons. Okay, so only 2. Interesting.
你也可以直接叫
That's so weird.
波吕克斯的特点在于
It's cool as shit. I
它
love
对
it,
我方
but
造
also
成的大部分
like
伤
what
害
the
都是
fuck?
一种名为衰亡伤害的特殊伤害类型。通俗的来说呢，就是无视
Very-
护盾、无视防御、不可分摊。
没错，在战斗中，我方目标的生命值降低时，它还会积累濒死梦泡，进入强化状态。
哇，进强化这一下，全员直接1血啊！这龙好凶猛。
没错，作为死亡的化身，波吕克斯非常擅长操控生命，因此和他作战的时候，一定要格外注意队伍的血量状态。
不过呢，在战斗中，开拓者还需要让队伍里的角色尽快的消耗生命值，让他更快的累积濒死梦泡，这样能够进入强化状态。
等一下，这逻辑不对吧？为什么要尽快强化敌人啊
Caster's blade and any other HP-based DPS are best for this boss. Okay.
在进入强化状态之后，我方攻击会消耗濒死梦泡，然后就能恢复生命值了。
Firefly's gonna go hard on this.
时还可以对其造成大量伤害。
了解，感觉是一场围绕生命展开的大战。
没错，那波吕克斯呢？他在冥河中沉眠已久，浸染了浓郁的死亡气息，胆敢打扰他安眠的人都要做好心理准备。
那感谢老师们的介绍，感觉这次烛火的征程也没有那么简单啊。
确实是这样的。那就像之前提到的，眼下的烛火之旅深陷内忧和外患，英雄们的困境从来都不只来自外部，
Bloodchild will probably be the meta
复杂
again.
的内
Yeah.
政和人际关系也是诸多
Glad
问
I'm
题的
working on
导
the
火索。
man.
在3.2版本的开拓任务中呢，有人试图在即将召开的公民大会上发起投票，去终止烛火之旅。
是谁？
一定是元老院干的。
感谢麋鹿老师给我们带来的精彩 cos。没错，就是元老院。那相信在之前的剧情中，大家也有感受，元老院会经常派出探子监视或者阻挠黄金翼的行动，就连丹恒也被拦住盘问过。
我记得在3.0剧情里面就有个叫凯尼斯的跳出来，恶言厉色的威胁阿格莱亚。
没错， 以凯尼斯为首的元老院反对
This is how
派
it
早
seems
已
probably
处处
Healer.
设
I
下
don't know
陷
if
阱，
they're releasing
还
a
不
new
断在暗
Healer
中
set
培养自己
soon.
的势力。明枪易
Maybe,
躲，暗箭
possibly.
难防。
I
虽
hope
然
so.
无法与半神正面抗衡，但他们
Although
尤其
it
擅
doesn't,
长
it,
阴
like
招，
Hyacinth's
更善于煽风
remembrance,
点
so I don't know if
火，
she
借刀
would
杀人。
be
在他们
that.
得知了瑟西斯、欧洛尼斯两位泰坦已经陨落的消息后，便在元老院中大肆鼓吹烛火派已经走向末路，想要抓住这次机会，一举将烛火派彻底铲除。
那公民大会又是什么？凭什么能终止烛火之旅啊？
我来补充一下前情提要吧。每隔5至10年，
Members
元
of
老
Jack
院
of all
会在
trades.
奥赫玛
True.
的信仰中心和政治枢纽，也就是最庄严的会议场所黎明云崖举办公民大会。这里是整个奥赫玛最接近富士泰坦克法勒的地方，保存着克法勒的火种。城邦代表们会在这里对翁法罗斯的重要问题进行投票表决，投票结果被视为翁法罗斯全体公民的意志。千百年来，无论是哪位管理者，都必须遵循公民大会的议程和结果行事。
不过反对派他干嘛要跟黄金翼过不去啊？烛火之旅是有什么问题吗？
这个问题就比较复杂了。如果从元老院的私
Oh
心出
yeah,
发呢
members can
肯尼
take
斯
any
等人
shape.
是
It's
想要
just
独揽大权的。
the whole
他们
gimmick.
觉得
Okay,
在
that
操
makes
持这
sense.
种
That
事
makes
情
that
完
makes
全
a lot
虚
of
无
sense.
缥缈。你必
Just
须
has to
为
be
了这种
through
事
what's
情
his
白白
face.
牺牲，还不如在末世里面尽享荣华富贵。
另一方面呢，一些民众认为对翁法罗斯威胁最深的、陷入疯狂的尼卡多利已经被讨伐了，他们的生活渐渐归于平静。在这种情况下，大费周章的烛火之旅就没有那么必要了。
可是平静的生活真能这么轻易实现吗？黑潮才刚刚大肆入侵树亭，我不那么乐观。
我要是元老院的人呐，我就会一口咬定，根本没有再创神能够救世的证据。阿格莱亚和黄金翼都是骗子，相信还是会有很多人站在元老院这一边的。
那除了来自元老院的阻挠之外，其实在黄金翼的内部也不是铁板一块的。
哦，你指的是纳克夏吗？
没错，据可靠的信息呢，有人看到了纳克夏在黎明云崖和凯尼斯进行秘密会谈，似乎是达成了某种合作。
Every
可是
like how
纳克
with
夏
how
身
they're
上
with
还
how they're
带着
talking about
瑟
it,
西斯的
it
火种啊，
it kind of it very much reminds me of the like this whole thing just makes me think this entire game is that a Genshin parallel? It's all Genshin parallels, Rika. It's Genshin all the way down. No, but with how they're talking about it, it makes me feel like this story is gonna end up being a story all about perspective. Because we're seeing this story through the view of the Crisis heirs. It's like we see the story from their view, but you know, there's all these people that don't see that.
这是要投敌吗？
话不能这么说。虽然纳克夏也是黄金翼，但他也始终觉得神域无凭无据，表示强烈质疑。在之前
There's
的
a
公民
door
大
at the
会上，
party
他
card in the
也
express
总对
that says, "How about we explore the doors ahead of us
在
later?"
3.1剧情的末尾，瑟西斯说纳克夏早已经是一具尸体了。难道我们见到的这位
I'm not gonna
是
think too much about that.
在
It's
黑
just
潮对树亭的入侵里，纳克夏与黑潮
it's
战
also
斗
a
到了最
Genshin
后一刻。
reference.
瑟伊斯觉得他很有趣，就出手搭
This game
救，
is
结果纳克夏就这么
going
成了活死
insane.
人。现在是单靠着泰坦的生命力量在人间逗留。
我注意到你用了“逗留”这个词。
没错，泰坦的火种对于凡人来说力量太强，强行植入本来就有风险，时间一长呢，甚至还有可能造成反噬。
没错，现在的纳克夏他就像一根被扔进大火的火柴，可以说他的生命很快就要燃尽了。
那这跟他想和元老院合作有什么关系？难道他想靠元老院的帮忙取出他的火种？
作为一名学者呢，纳克夏向来只忠于自己的研究，和元老院的合作能免去不少和阿格莱亚的周旋。在他生命的倒计时里，他在意的其实也只有
I love how
我们究竟为
much
何
how
物
much of like
也
a
就是生命本质的答案。
有意思的是，这也是瑟伊
I
斯
kind of
抛给他的
adore
试炼
how
本身
contrarian
如果
an
纳克夏
Axa
能够
is
帮这位
just
泰
to
坦解
be
决
a
问题，
just
那
to
这
be
位
a
泰坦就
bitch.
会自愿消散，把身体还给纳克夏。
He spites Aglaia so much.
瑟
He's
西
like, I'm
斯
just gonna
不
do
是
this shit
理
just
性的泰
because.
坦吗？身为智慧的化身，怎么还要人类帮忙去解答问题呢？
理性嘛，并不意味着全知全能。神话中说，世界上所有的生命都是克法勒的造物，但纳克夏和瑟西斯都对此表示强烈的怀疑。
毒神的黄金叶与泰坦组队，总觉得接下来会发生很
And the game is muted again still, so just keep that in mind. At the end of the stream I don't think I went that's the wrong way. I don't think I went to March's room. Hold on, we gotta turn on sound here. Yeah, she still do be sleeping. Seeing the young girl who is normally so full of life fall into complete silence. That was gonna be it now. It's still just, she's still just chilling. Get it? I mean, there was a cutscene at the end of the quest that was like, oh, look at her, she's still frozen. But aside from that, that was it. Let us mute again. Put it on ice for a moment. Exactly.
不到的事情呢。
总之呢，在3.2两颗火种既与死亡的危机紧密相连，同时又和我们究竟是何物的真相密不可分。其中的内情呢，我们当然希望各位开拓者能在实际的游玩中亲自去揭晓答案。
提提老师又开始卖关子了
啊，没有，那正所谓事在人为，想要知道蛱蝶和开拓者在斯提克西亚的遭遇，还有纳克夏和元老院的谋划，我们还需要深入了解这2位主要的当事人。
好的。那接下来让我们稍事休息，稍后会为大家带来3.2版本角色的相关讯息。
Okay. Interesting. Okay, let's see what's up with casters. That goes so hard. What is up with the fucking butterflies?
大家好，我是大家的老朋友，游戏设计汉子。我是游戏设计珍珍。
欢迎2位老师。我们现在也是在冥河边上了，对吧？
啊，对啊。
The River of Souls.
我们可以在冥河。
That is a name. That sure is a name. We need a big ass microwave. I mean, it's not that hard to make a big ass microwave. That's how they were. That's how they were invented. Was just like throwing a bunch of microwaves into a room. They would bounce around and sometimes cook shit. What it is about Hoyo and using the color purple, but it always says yeah. It is very pretty. They are very good at their design.
从未想过有一天我们可以
But for the most part, usually.
不容易啊，大家也是一键速通人生了呀。
Life speed run OK.
那既然都到了冥河边上，我们不妨就聊聊蛱蝶吧。在之前的剧情中，我们知道啊，蛱蝶生来就带有死亡之处的诅咒，常年与死亡相伴。
没错。早在一个名为埃德里亚的城邦，蛱蝶在那里就肩负起了行星
Melody Muse. Let's do it like that. She is in more or less nothing. She's in a hip hop game. A handful of games. You know.
新手的职责，在那里所有人都信仰
She is feeding a dragon.
死亡，所以尊她为督战圣女。那她也因此为很多囚犯带去过死亡。
但我觉得她好像并没有对死亡习以为常，反而积攒了很大的心理压力啊。比如面对数体罹难者的亲人，霞蝶就难以说出死亡的事实。万迪曾向他提议利用不死之身牺牲自我寻找塞纳托斯，但他也
Don't you know every trans girl has a dragon?
确实，因为就用霞蝶自己的话来说吧，死亡并不是一场游戏，在世间大多数人看来，死亡也确实是一件非常恐怖的事情。那很多人都会把霞蝶这种能力当成诅咒，然后把它视作可怕的怪物，所以不愿意去主动。
We have a big mech suit and a dragon.
接近他，而与之相对的，霞蝶也不希望自己为人带去死亡，所以也养成了一个不主动与人接触的性格。
想象一下，如果我自带死亡的 debuff， 我也应该会怀疑自己存在到底有什么意义，是不是会为别人带去？
Like how big is that dragon? Like if you can fit in your apartment, that's like that must be a mega support ticket or something. I'm concerned as to who the they is in that
是
situation.
啊，就算走在路上，也必须和所有活物保持5米以上的社交距离，连那些求抱抱的猫猫狗狗，甚至奇美拉，它都不能触碰。
哎，想开点，至少蚊子碰不了它。
啊，你说这倒确实，
确实，这话倒没
Tech
说错。
support.
不过呢，来到奥赫玛之后，霞蝶在这里遇到了一众黄金翼，他们的真诚相待和温暖接纳，让他在漫长的人生中第一次感受到了家的温暖。他也明白，虽然死亡的
non-binary
威胁
support
但是有这么一群志同道合的伙伴，能够
Every non-binary person works in trans support.
霞蝶甚至还一度会尝试说服自己，说也许停在这里，停在奥赫玛，就这么安稳的活下去，是不是也不是一件坏事呢？然而近来的一系列变故扰乱了霞蝶的思绪，提宝和万迪的决心深深触动了他，而开拓者现在的处境实际上也与死亡泰坦息息相关。那这一切都让他坚定了继续向前、完成烛火使命的决心。
我想起提宝的预言：花海尽头，生者的魂灵将温暖如织之间。
没错。在这个花海尽头，一场跨越生死的蜕变即将发生，只是蜕变往往也意味着非常沉重的代价。这是霞蝶曾经深深感到恐惧的命运，但是在接下来3.2的主线故事里，他会战胜这种恐惧，拥抱命运。
怎么这么就直接快进到了命运啊、代价这种沉重的词？能不能再聊点温馨的？
这得让我想想啊。霞蝶在过去漫长的人生当中，其实培养了很多很有趣的爱好，比如说为了弥补他无法触碰这些小动物的遗憾，他会去做一些小动物的毛绒玩偶，每天晚上睡觉的时候也会抱着它们，在他们的陪伴中入眠。除此之外，他还喜欢看看书、写写文什么的，尤其精通温法罗斯的历史和文学。
那所以他都写什么文啊？
这我就不知道。
Who ate the moon?
的历史和他还喜欢
Wait, okay,
每天晚上睡觉的
so
无法触碰这些小动物的
can't
遗憾，
touch little
他会
animals.
去做一些小动
Can
物的
create plushies. Oh my god.
毛绒玩偶，每天晚上睡觉的时候也会
I
抱着
love
它们
her.
在他们的陪伴中入眠。除此之外，他还喜欢
She
看看
enjoys
书
reading and
写写文什么的
writing.
尤其精通温法罗斯的历史和文学。
Aww.
那所以他都写什么文啊？
这我就不知道。
Okay, she made her own blowhigh. Oh, I love that idea. Oh my god. Somebody needs to draw that. Somebody needs to draw Castor's cuddling a blowhigh. That is, I love that
要
idea.
实在好奇，那就去到奥赫玛自己去问问他吧。
哦，我刚看到视频里面霞蝶是有一条龙的，而且这条龙和我们前面
Yeah,
介绍
standard
的那
issue
个
trans
波斯的
woman
龙还有点像，这个是怎么回事
Dragon
啊？
之前介绍的波吕克斯，他只是死亡泰坦部分
She used too much
而
finality
霞蝶
juice.
的死龙本质上是异
Oof,
灵
ouch,
它
owie,
是
my
经年累月
bones
的记
hurt.
忆结合
Finality
魔法罗斯
juice.
的死亡神权凝结形成的力量。那虽然现在还不能为大家揭晓真正的谜底，但无论是死亡还是死龙，那都是霞蝶身上最重要的意象。
是的，所以我们直接把这条龙做进了游戏里了。对，在战斗中呢，死龙它就会
Rips
撕裂
through
空间
space to
在接下来一段
manifest.
时间内，它会
Good
根据这么共同
lord.
作
Dude, that's raw. That is so sweet. Holy shit. Okay, that goes hard. That goes so hard. Like I love how Mem is just like this little thing, this little creature, and then Castor is out here somebody full ass fucking dragon.
作战。
Like,
不光能
good
看到龙的身
lord,
影，同时
dude.
呢还会伴有一处遍布繁花的境
Mom!
界。在战斗中，这个境界同一时间只能存在一个。当
She's
死龙
just
行动
smolder.
时，会消耗自身的血量，喷射龙焰，对敌方全体造成伤害。 开拓者可以根据需要操控死龙的输出，可以一鼓作气的喷，也可以一点一点的喷。
死龙喷出的这个火焰的颜色都不一样了。
啊，这个我知道，这个叫中火。
Casters is literally smolder.
当死龙在场时，侠蝶可以和死龙一起释放连携攻击，同时我方消耗生命
Okay,
的
so
时
she
候，
consumes
死龙
everyone's
会回血
HP.
侠蝶和死龙打出的伤害会更高。
是的，并且当队友陷入危险时，死龙会为我方抵挡伤害，保护大家。
那的确是战斗的好帮手。
没错，除此之外，死龙消失时会触发自爆，对敌方造成伤害的同时，会为我方回复生命。
What's up with the
这个
butterflies?
叫釜底抽薪。
我们要如何把死龙召唤出来呢？
哎，问得好！当我方损失生命的时候，能够让侠蝶获得特殊充能；释放战绩的时候，侠蝶对敌方造成伤害的同时，也能获得特殊充能。这个特殊充能一满，释放终结技，侠蝶就能召唤死龙上场协助作战了。除此之外，使用秘技近战时，侠蝶也会立即召唤出死龙。
有种突然
It actually does the mom thing. I love it. Oh my god. Like, I hate Smolder so much, but also that's adorable. She literally goes, Mom!
但这个境界还是挺唯美的。
确实，这个境界非常符合侠蝶的一个个人气质。
Or
是的，
哈哈。
除了上面说的，侠蝶还有一个比较特殊的能力，它可以为队友们抵挡一次致命攻击。
Yeah, Casters feels like an amalgamation of so many different characters.
这些角色暂时不会死亡。在此期间，
Just so
这
she has
些
a
角色
revive.
只要受到治疗或被套上护盾，就能够真正的破茧重生了。
Oh
而且
shit,
即使
okay. Oh wow. Oh wow. Okay, so if you get revived by the Caster's passive, if you heal, she heals you all the
侠蝶
way.
不在队伍里，这个能力也照样
That's
能
crazy.
发动。
不在队伍中也能生效吗？
毕竟侠蝶与死亡权柄息息相关，在战斗中，他也想让死亡的脚步稍作停留。
果然是最温柔的黄金翼。那感谢各位老师的分享，接下来让我们了解一下3.2版本的另外一位角色
Yeah,
纳
that's
克夏。
crazy. The global passive is a little bit nuts. Okay, yeah, I'm not okay. So this is the one thing that I did know about Castris before. This is the one thing that I did know about Castris before this was the global passive thing. I'm not a big fan of it. However, I mean, yeah, it's such a weird design choice, right? Because like, how do you like? Yeah, it's just Castris already is such an interesting character. So like, why are you relying on power creeping so hard like that to try and sell her more? Like it's a little crazy. Like this power creep is kind of unsustainable, like with the direction that they're going. But I've also seen something I have also seen is like
老师，我就开门见山啊。
the global passive freakout is only a Western
这个
thing.
让我想想
Like China is very like vibing about it.
是至多在
Which I'm like,
生者
okay.
世界停留15个门飞时。
这么短？
用纳克夏自己的话来
But yeah,
说
the power creep
就
definitely is
仅一到
unsustainable.
T2
I don't.
15个日夜未免有些
I genuinely
不是
don't see
你前面两
how
个回答
how
一直在引用
how they
原
can
文
keep this
这
up.
能减轻你的负罪感吗？这叫自欺欺人。
You see the whole
真
VS over?
毕竟纳克夏这个
Yes,
人嘛，
yes,
非
I
常有自己
have.
的主意和想法。大多数人最多也就只能像我一样，
Oh, God, I
对他
have.
的话做一个简单转述。那至于他究竟在想
It's
什么，那
bad.
就难以理解了。比如说，他一直在研究的炼金术，高
Earth
深
is
莫
on
测，
fire.
还主张人生同源，
Exactly.
这简直是不可理喻。纳克夏毕生所求，便是通过炼金术探究生命乃至世界的本质构成，也就是所谓的“我们究竟为何物”这样一个问题。这一次，瑟西斯的火种和他融合，不仅给他创造了大好的机会，也给他启发了一条前所未有的思路。
Yeah, Reddit is not
的试炼既然是
fun.
科研， 它和之前动辄大战几万回合的试炼比起来，是不是难度低了点？
但你想，理性之泰坦瑟西斯认证作为试炼的问题，那肯定非常有含金量的吧
？Really, the Genshin subreddit, yeah, it's not good.
本质又是什么
Like there
这些问题，
is
我相信开拓者也非常关心。
the
而他们
accusations
都
that
想
these
通过
fuckers are
纳克夏的
making
研
is
究得到
kind of
解答不仅如
ridiculous.
此，他还会为众人揭晓出另外一个出人意料的真相。
那就让我们期待一下有关翁法罗斯的真相了。不过还有一点啊，既然纳克夏是不信神之人，为什么他还会愿意参与理性试炼呢？
就像他在 PV 里说的那句话一样，由凡人融合泰坦的灵魂取而代之，那并非天方夜谭。纳克夏把试炼还有泰坦附在他身上的这个特殊状态当成了一生难遇的一次机会，什么试炼呀，什么泰坦呀，都是他揭开终极真理的过程罢了。
纳克夏这种求知精神的确令人敬佩。
The only subreddit I've been regularly using recently is has been r/silksong just because it's been so funny watching those fuckers just go insane.
穿着华服的大地兽什么的。
纳克夏从来不惧非议。同僚们的看法，用他的话来说，那就是无所谓，没必要，不至于。至于穿着华服的大地兽，那些人完全不懂大地兽的萌点啊，是典型的翁法罗斯思维，懒得说。
所以萌点是什么？
萌点是什么？
在纳克夏看来，大地兽是非常好的倾听者。那比方说呢，上台做分享之前想找个陪练顺词儿，他就非常合适。纳克夏还买了很多大地兽周边。晚上他会换上大地兽的睡衣，享受一
Yeah, I use like r/silksong. I use
的确是大地兽击推了。纳克夏不仅研究方向比较冷门，爱好品味也挺冷门。
whatever the
我只有一个问题，为什么纳克夏是那个特殊的不
wherever
敬
the
神
cage
之人？
roll is
这个嘛，每个时代都会有人格格不入，对冠旗
Pedro
发出质疑
Pepas
成为世人眼中所谓的疯癫者。
Yeah,
当然，
whatever.
说起最初的最初，纳克夏走上炼金术这个
Yeah,
道路
I use a
契机
handful,
那
but yeah,
还
the
是因为
Genshin
我们
subreddit
王法罗斯的
is
万恶之源黑潮
just
他因此也失去了
that's part of the reason why I stopped using Reddit a long time ago. But also, I need a social media to keep up with some stuff. So I've been using Reddit more so than anything else because I've just stopped using Twitter.
好的
And Blue Sky is fun and
纳
all,
克夏
but
是一个一针见血、言辞犀利的人。那么敢和纳克夏为敌，必然会被抓到很多的弱点，即便没有弱点，也必然会被纳克夏安上弱点。所以呢，在战斗中，纳克夏每次击中敌人的时候，都会给敌人随机增加一个弱点。
那么纳克夏可以给敌人加很多个弱点吗？
he's just better Silver Wolf.
并且当敌人身上弱点足够多的时候呢，纳克夏还会使敌人陷入一个叫智性揭露的。
Silksong will exist. I am a believer, just not like
敌人造成伤害
they've been kind of going nuts because apparently there's supposed to be something on April 2nd.
不消耗战绩点
But
战绩
I
攻击
don't think so.
打一送一。
April 2nd will come and pass, but I do know Silksong will happen.
特殊状态的话，是不是效率有点慢呀？
不会的。因为呢，在释放终结技的时候啊，纳克夏就能使敌方全体陷入一个叫升华的特殊状态。在此期间呢，敌人会直接被加满7个弱点。
好震撼的一串弱点啊！升华状态下，敌人都变成了半透明
So
的
like
星座效果了。
是的，虽然
He gives them all weaknesses.
但搞研究的嘛，肯定擅长解明事物的本质，其中也包括敌人。
对了，我看他
So he's just
是
Silver
霰弹
Wolf
枪
but better.
感觉
Good
不是刻板
lord.
印象中炼金术士会用的武器，这有什么说法吗？
在翁法罗斯，炼金术是一种非常超前的研究方法，所以纳克夏的武器是一把近现代热武器，由此来展现他先时代一步的特质。
我看终结技那一下是从他的眼睛开始的，那纳克夏的眼睛是怎么了？
前面说了嘛，因为黑潮
We can find that in the ditch truly after this Anaxa.
这颗眼睛也在
Oh my god, yeah, no, that's crazy.
经历让他豁然开朗，
That's
于是纳克夏更加坚定
ridiculous.
地走入了对灵魂、对世界本质的一个研究。如果用他的话来说，
Like that's almost more absurd than
使比
Caster is.
任何时候都更加明朗。
纳克夏的这个性格让我觉得
Like that is literally
同情或者是
like
感慨都是多余。
Silver Wolf was balanced in a way where it took advantage of a gameplay mechanic. Anaxa feels like it's ignoring a mechanic. It feels like it's completely ignoring an entire gameplay mechanic in just the worst way possible. Because like Fei Xiao or Firefly, right? They at least had trade-offs, right? Fei Xiao, yeah, exactly. Why is break even a thing? That's a great question, right? Like Fei Xiao, I mean, didn't have like how do I express this? Because like yeah, Fei Xiao and Firefly were broken, are still broken because of how much they ignore weakness or break. But like still, it feels like they do it in such a way that's reasonable. Because like with Fei Xiao, you have to do it through her ultimate. Same for the most part, like with Firefly, but also Firefly is one target at a time until you use her ultimate. So like, there are drawbacks to them. Anaxa and also Firefly is just Pyro, so it's just for herself unless you have another Fire. Firefly only does it for fire, so she is for herself unless you have another fire unit on your team. Fei Xiao just only herself breaks through that weakness, right? She is like weakness agnostic, right? Doesn't matter what your weaknesses are, her ultimate will break through it, but it's just her ultimate, right? Nothing else. Silver Wolf, one at a time, it uses SP and it's random and selects one from each of your teammates. Anaxa's ultimate just gives everybody every weakness. So what the fuck is the point?
他的确是个非常坚韧的人。感谢老师们的分享。接下来让我们看看3.2版本的
exactly like 所以 every weakness based unit in this game has at least had some sort of balancing to it, has had some sort of limitation, has always felt like it is making use of a mechanic in the game. It hasn't really felt like it's just straight up ignoring a mechanic or allowing you to ignore a mechanic. Anaxa just feels like you're ignoring the weakness mechanic.
在3.2版本上半的跃迁活动中，开拓者可以在
Make
卡池中
farewells more
获取限定
beautiful.
5星角色霞蝶、限定5星光锥，让告别更美一些的获取概率将会得到提升。除此之外，在3.2版本的上半还会开启特殊的跃迁。
You got few. Okay, yeah.
活动限定5星角色望归人、焦秋、黄泉将同时复刻，限定5星光锥长路终有归途，那无数个春天行于流逝的岸也将会复刻。在3.2版本下半的跃迁活动中，开拓者可以在卡池中获取限定5星角色纳克夏，限定5星光锥生命当付之一炬的获取概率也将会得到提升。与此同时，限定5星角色真理医生和限定5星光锥纯粹思维的洗礼也将会复刻。
Never actually gonna pull for Akron at this point. Down, she was good for like a patch, and then Firefly happens, and then more chimeras.
本次爆爆棚的大作战由阿格莱雅独家冠名赞助，主办方希望让所有人都能享受到小海豹冲撞的乐趣，轻轻松松，没有压力。
哇
，Yeah, imagine not having
那我们
ratio.
还是直接讲讲这个比赛规则吧。
爆爆碰碰大作战由多个赛程组。
Oh, more Hyacinth.
每赢能够兑换
战中。 为什么会用这奇美？
之前的测试帮助呢
？Oh shit, we're going back to Herdas.
星芒系列的研究
3.2版本，我们新增了仪器自动分解功能。开启之后，4星及以下仪器都可以在获取时。
大家好，我是烧鸡。
欢迎。
这一次节目
I love that hat. That hat goes so hard. What do you have to say, Shaoji?
其实这是帕姆准备的。历史上表示嘛，3.2版本是周年庆版本，希望大家都适合一下节日的氛围。
谢谢列车长。
They've been here for 2 years, fuckers.
那下个月也即将迎来我们崩坏星穹铁道2周岁的生日，不妨我们先一起来看看本次周年庆的活动吧。
好的，这次呢，有人向列车组发来授权申请，想用星穹列车的故事开发一款游戏。
这游戏好像已经有公司做过了吧？
跟那个版权合作都赚钱，办一场跨越。
代表了展会，当然有了新科技或中的展位。
除了我在，那么更多组合就请大家在游戏中亲自挖掘
A little another party
来
game.
的也太多了，我的天！
开拓者经历的精彩福利吧。首先，在3.2版本，开拓者可以通过周年庆专属的庆典助理活动
20 pulls
以签到方式。
那即将在5月还有游戏外的周年活动信息带给大家。开拓者度过成问主题网页，分享周年活动。
Hi, Elio. Also Silver Wolf, yay. More Stellar on Hunter art.
有机会获得星穹等游戏奖励。没错，至5月3日在上海举行，
一共3天哦。
是的，除了上海的3场线下演
Casters is so pretty. With the harp. Go off, girl. Oh, that is rocket. Oh, mem. Anyways.
会之外，我们还将在5月3日可以举办周边，
赶着期待，
还有我们的来回忆大家一起度过的甜蜜时光，
而且我们
去展开奶茶品牌合作，
nothing
来
in
回
the
忆大
States
家一
here.
起度过的甜蜜。
开手机联动，也请
创作者大赛多元宇宙做教授。
Good lord, a lot of
请
events.
开拓者查收。
好。
动画短片。不过这里还是先小小的卖个关子，这份祝福就等到时候再揭晓。
That art didn't make sense for a second. A Tribby, and then there's Hua Hua, and then there's Bailey, and then fucking Pella, I think? Like, what is happening?
祝福就等到时候再揭晓，请大家期待一下。
期待。不过我们的2周年上面这些感觉是不是还不太够？那我问你啊，周年庆有没有更大的？
我就知道你想问这个问题。
有，开拓者可以在软梅或罗刹2名角色中任选其免费获得
啊，免费获得
Renmei or Rocha. Who do I want more? Is the question there? Because I both of them. Who do I want the Eidolon for more? Is your E1 while the zone is active? Attack of all allies increased by 20%. That's pretty crazy. Renmei E1 is all the ultimate zone is deployed. The damage. Oh wait. Damage dealt by all allies ignores 20% of target's defense. So either way, the E1 is gonna get crazy damage boost.
是的，在3.2版本，开拓者可以领取一个旅伴精灵代币，使用这个代币能够在特定商店中兑换软梅、罗刹或常驻5星角色。同时，开拓者每2个角色星魂也会补发先。
开拓者在角色活动跃迁中可以自定义
Customize down
非
boosted
亚洲的
5-star
5星角色。
characters.
画面中的这几位限定5星角色将加入首批可自定义的范围内。
哦，也就是说，算上之前的常驻角色，我们可以从10位中任选7位。
没错，就是这个意。
Oh shit. Okay, so, oh, that's cool. Okay, so the standard warp now will have, you can select 7 out of 10 characters. It'll be the original characters plus Blade, Fushuan, and Seela.
意思。同时，画面中的这些限定5星光锥以及常驻5星光锥也会加入到刚刚提到的兑换商店内章，来获取光锥兑换代币。
Okay.
代币的使用是没有时间限制的。
很贴心，
同去年一样。
That's crazy.
梦华
Actually,
也将迎来
Still
首充双倍重置。3.2版本期间
Top up
累计获得
refresh
一定数量的精美装备。
先从阿成老师开始吧。
首先是大家比较关心的老角色加强。
buffing old characters. Oh shit.
银狼
Okay.
刃
Silverwolf,
卡夫卡
Blade, Kafka, and Jingliu
就会迎来加强。
Do we get
太好了
details?
确实是提上日程了。
对的，而且是对角色本体进行加强。具体方案会在
Aren't obtainable for free to play. RIP. That is one thing is I kind of wish I had Fushuan's light cone because like the Herda light cone on her is good, but I still wish it was like her best in slot, because that is crazy.
在后续版本公布。
那我就等着看后面的一些官方讯息啦。
并且在今年呢，也会有全新的限定5星角色直接免费获取，请大家
感谢阿胜老师。
启动更早，所以我能前瞻的也更多一些。首先想为大家带来的是主线的消息。25年，铁道会在游戏内做更多内容尝试，比如其中一项就是动画进主线。
哦，是说像飞光啊、永劫轮舞啊这样的短片，以后有机会在游戏内看到吗？
是的。举个最近的例子，近期我们会发布一段有关侠点。
Oh, okay. More animated stuff in game.
3.2
Yay.
版本上线后，大家会发现它其实是主线的一个片段，与开拓任务密切关联。以往短片都是独立成章，所以内容大多数都是人物过往或者外传。但随着主线推进，我们希望能用更多形式演绎故事的重要情节。浅预告一下，也许在未来的某个版本还会出现不能提前发布，只能在版更当天才能公开。
哦，那一定是关联非常密切的情节了。
除了动画，像是《千星记》
animating like moments in I love that
由这一类的 PV 也会承担更重要的使命。今年是铁道上线2周年，算算时间，咱们的开拓任务也走到第1阶段的转折点了。
转折点，好不妙的说法呀！我就知道
开的版本会有一条特别的
Special Myriad Celestia，
同样和主线强相关，大家会在其中看见一些老朋友的近况，而他们会被主线事串联在一起。而这趟群星之旅的主要目标和埋藏在温法罗斯这个世界的秘密，也将同时揭开帷幕。
哦，难怪说温法罗斯会分为上下2部，果然这一战还是和银河息息相关的。
嘿，这我就不知道了。但或许可能不止银河，列车组2位最重要的伙伴3月7和单恒也会在这一年向前走出许多呢。
和他们 I mean, she ain't going anywhere within the state that she's currently in.
随着大主线进入更深的阶段，会有更多支线需要回收，会有更多新老角色要。
There's no Cry related artifact lore, so you probably need to explain me. Probably need me to explain things. Okay.
走上舞台，铁道的剧情体量也将再上一个台阶。最后还有一个信息
，Congratulations.
就像先前提到的，铁道主线往往是提前1年以上进行筹备，不确定性大，难免会留下一些缺憾。其中之一就是匹诺康尼。
Absolutely huge step. Congratulations on that.
原案中的部分故事线没能完全落地，而上线后，我们也看到玩家为这些内容留白日谈来补全的任务，记忆是梦的开场白。
周末任务，而且再加上这个标题
是梦的，做一次新的尝试。
What the fuck? Okay.
普通的开拓序文或后日谈来补全的，所以铁道今年会做一次新的尝试，在3.8这一个
They're teasing 3.8. Okay. The finality mission, Memories of the Prelude to Dreams.
的开场白。
周末任务，而且再加上这个标题和这个类别摆在一起的话，总感觉信息量非常大呀。
开拓者们可以将其视作对匹诺康尼主线的一种补完。在某位焚化工的帮助下，那场遗产争夺战中不为人知的有关星河猎手公司、假面愚者等派系的另一条故事线和这个不眠之夜真正的结局将浮出记忆的水面。
哦，的确是有不少值得期待的东西。到此就要结束，
周年快乐！
感谢开拓者的一路相伴。
That's an interesting thing to tease in 3.2. Okay. Whack. That is really weird, actually. Interesting. Interesting. Okay. Real quick, I'm gonna run to the bathroom and then we will farm stuff for Casterus and possibly read new Genshin artifact lore. So give me a second, I will be right back. Alrighty. Let's get back into it. Primarily want to center in Nibelung lore, plus Sealy lore? Okay. Very, very, very interesting. I'm intrigued now. Those are a lot of things to be in a... That's a lot of things. That's crazy. Okay. Let's see. I need... What we're looking for. So I have 10. A lot of these. How do I get you? I could probably just run Divergent Universe. What's that boss mat? This? Or this? Because this is Fei Xiao. Darkveil Moonlight. Alien crown left behind by the moonlit Pegasus. Can be used for ascension on quantum characters. In a legend veiled by night, Oryx once purloined the sun's radiance to bestow it upon the moon, as Pegasi bore the brimming moonlight to ensure the Earth's luminance during the slumber of Aquila. How can the moon's pallid glow rival the splendor of the sun? Shit, that's a lot of words. But yeah, it's from this fucker. Crazy that we're close to Teyvat's Last Nation. It is kind of crazy to think about.
Songs for you.
But also like,
you can fight it or rock
not really. We still got more to go, I'm assuming. What am I doing? You.
Open sesame.
Bonk.
I'll see you off.
Keep up.
Expand your thinking. Curious, endless riddles. Nothing but a void.
I'm assuming we're going out of Teyvat. The fact that we're getting Skirk makes me think yes, very much. We're probably going to be heading out of Teyvat.
Open sesame.
Because there's so much more. Like, I cannot imagine we're going to get all of the answers right away. Or we're going to get all of the answers in Snezhnaya. We're going to be getting... Like, we have other places to be going.
You chose the wrong enemy.
I had a very weird dream about how Genshin would go, and by dreams I don't mean leaks. I think I saw it. The real story of Genshin Impact was revealed to me in my dreams.
Songs for you. Let's rock.
I'll see you off. Eternal sleep. The dead return.
Bonk.
Impressive. This is worth learning. I don't have time. Expand your thinking.
Finally made it to the live stream. Welcome, Stephanie. You missed all of the...
Curiosity.
You missed actually watching this stuff, but yeah.
Nothing but a void.
We will be getting into some theorizing here in a bit once I finish my...
Never seen perfection. Open sesame. Glimpse the unknown.
It was revealed to me in a dream. Is crazy. Yeah, once I finish my farming here. My Casterus prep.
Expand your thinking.
Keep up. You can fight it or rock with it.
I don't have time.
Well, let me finish this run and then we'll read through the artifact lore then. How about that? And then you can explain to me all the Nod Krai shit. Boop.
You chose the wrong end.
Boop.
Pretty good crowd today. Turn it up.
Boop.
Curious, endless riddles. Nothing
Let's
but
see,
a
what are the
thought.
new artifacts? Tea is ready. Assuming it is Long Night's Oath and Finality of the Deep Galleries. Except, okay, how many is that? That is... Something on 35. Okay, sweet. And I also need to start doing the fucking Divergent Universe to try and, I guess, get the materials. That's the best, the only way I'm going to be able to get those generic materials. Phone, where are you? You were in my pocket. And then 5 minutes. Cool. It's like 3.1 live streams. It happens. You know, it happens. It's not that big of a deal. Okay, so let's do this. Let's do that. Claim all. Sweet. I'm gonna actually get you off just that. Okay. So let's bring up you. Actually, the signs are gonna be annoying. Let's go like, where's a better place to go? Let's just go to the Astral Express, why not? Oh, getting distracted with that standard? Yeah. What else did you expect? Okay. So, which one should I start with? This one, because I see Heavenly Moons. Okay. So, Long Night's Oath. Okay. A metal flower that was worn by that Nikki symbolizes the oath of eternal vigilance taken by its original owner. Welcome, Phantom. We're just starting. Okay. So, in those days, the land was leveled by the northern hunting winds, cutting down the unruly frontier folk at the behest of the despotic. Ratnik is the lowest military rank in Russian. Okay. By the Ratniki. Okay, so that's interesting. Shama? 怎么说? The fuck is that? Turn into a fucking cat. Nyaz is Tsar or something like that. Okay. Okay, so this is definitely like Fatui then. Okay, like Keeper's Pledge. Okay. Because Ratniki feels like Snezhnaya and whatever. The despotic Nyazes. And in a bid to seize power left behind by the Heavenly Moons, a mad monk who spoke in strange tongues presented a treacherous plot to the Tsar of all Fae. Thus the Moon Children, hidden in their mountain forests, scattered sisters driven by fate down divergent paths. Oh, wait. Thus were the moon children, hidden in their mountain forests, scattered, sisters driven by fate down divergent paths. In the end, even the pretentious lunatic could not break free of the celestial shell, and was consumed by the bedeviled sky at the edge of delusion. But all this took place before the paradise had even come into being. For at the time, it was no more than a daydream, a fantasy shared by two children beneath the moon's glow. It was not until many years later, when one of them was executed as a notorious bandit, infamous throughout the nations, that the other finally realized the true meaning of those words that had been left behind as if by accident. What followed, we all know. When the long night fell, the royal court of the north could no longer mind the remote borderlands beyond the snowy plains. And so the horde of pitch-black beasts tore across the barren land, destroying all traces of past civilization. It was not until, borrowing power from the priestess of the moon children, the original torch forger raised that first beam of light, and in the name of the moon, banished the darkness to those lightless ruins, burying it deep down alongside the nightmare-torn souls. When all was over, the survivors raised a lighthouse atop the mountains, gazing far out towards the new ruler of Snezhnaya. To preserve his dear friend's pure, childlike dream, the torch forger did not shy away from defending it before the Tsaritsa's court. And though he received the royal edict he sought, he also took upon himself an oath of vigilance and sacrifice, and thus began the history of the paradise known as Nod Krai. That is a wild first artifact. Okay. What the fuck? Okay, hold on. I'm gonna do something really quick. Okay. So, what I'm wondering what this is. Let's see. Is a historical Slavic title used both as royal and noble title in different times. It is usually translated as prince, king, or duke, depending on specific historical context. Okay. Childlike dreams and for Hispanic 22. I'm getting to that part. Okay. So, let me write down all the things, because there's a lot already going on. In the bid to seize power left behind by the heavenly moons. So this makes me wonder. This makes me wonder if we've been taking the moon thing too seriously. Because okay, so all right, T. If we've been taking it too literally, so okay, so I'm literally writing shit down because there's a lot going on. But the land was leveled by the northern hunting winds, cutting down the unruly frontier folk at the behest of the despotic whatever that is. So I'm thinking, I'm not sure what northern hunting winds or Naiz is referring to. Some sort of evil rulers of some sort, right? Maybe the Dragonaires, who knows? But what's weird here is the idea in a bid to seize power left behind by the heavenly moons. So we know the whole Aryasana and canon myth, right? We know that they were riding around in a chariot in the sky, yada yada, etc., etc. Whatever the whole thing is, yeah, we know this whole story. From like Heart's Desire and all that jazz. What if, and this is something that I've played around with the idea of, what if the whole moon story is allegory? Because we know that allegory is the one way that you can tell history, that like forbidden history, without it being filtered by Irminsul, right? So what if the story of Aryasana and canon is, yeah, no, this is Genshin, this is not HSR, but we have switched gears here. No, but so we know that this story is, because like we've always known, right, that we've always known to some extent that the Three Moon Sisters is not really how that works, or didn't actually happen. But what if the Three Moon Sisters is much more allegorical than we first assumed? What if the Moon Sisters were actual people or deities or something that actually did stuff? I'm gonna sneak away on a bit. I'm really behind on Genshin. I don't want spoilers. I am also behind on this. I actually haven't done the moon event, so I'm still kind of I'm behind on that information too. But so this is what I'm thinking is they were actual, like this makes me think they were actual people or deities or beings and not like physically moons. That upon their death left behind a physical power vacuum, like a straight up true power vacuum that that a human could fill, right? A mad monk who spoke in strange tongues presented a treacherous plot to the Tsar of all Fae. I'm assuming that's the Tsaritsa, right? Also Seelie. So I wonder if the Tsaritsa is a Seelie. We'll write this down. Tsar of all Fae. Tsaritsa. Equals Seelie. Okay. Presented a treacherous plot of the Tsar of all Faes. So that makes sense. Monk is also a weird term here. Yeah. Thus were the moon children hidden in their mountain forests scattered. Sisters driven by fate down divergent paths. So we have This is 6 pygmies. Moon children. But here's the thing, Hikaru. I don't know if it is. Because... Oh no, paradise here is referring to Nordkrai. Okay, I got it. So my question is, moon children, are they the same as the heavenly moons? Because I wonder if the moons falling from the sky is kind of metaphorical speak for they were ousted, maybe? They were exiled, almost. And so the moon children hidden in their mountain forests were scattered, sisters driven by fate down divergent paths. So I wonder if... yeah, or if they were like banished or something. In the end, even that pretentious lunatic could not break free of the celestial shell, that's the firmament, and was consumed by the bedeviled sky at the edge of delusion. So that's a lot of words. Bedeviled? Nope. Give me 10, that was not. That's a movie. Cause great and continual troubles, torment or harass. Okay. Edge delusion. Okay. But all this took place before paradise had become even come to being. At the time, it was no more than a daydream, a fantasy shared by 2 children beneath the moon's glow. It was not until many years later, when one of them was executed as a notorious bandit, infamous throughout the nations, that the other finally realized the true meaning of those words that had been left behind as if by accident. Okay. Weird. Because it almost feels like they're saying that Nordkrai used to be the other shore? Or not the other shore. You know, it used to be not a part of Teyvat, but somehow by planting this lighthouse, almost kind of like, it makes me think of Destiny, right? Of the original Destiny 1 lore, where the Earth was like this apocalyptic wasteland, but the Guardian, with its very pale moonlight-esque light, turned the one, like this one civilization to the last bastion of humanity. That's almost what this feels like, is like through the light of the moon, this one of these children grew up to turn Nordkrai into a place safe from the abyss, safe from, and turned it into a place that is livable by humans and isn't one of these places outside of Teyvat that is desolate and possibly infested by the abyss? I don't know. Power from the priests of the moon children. So this is a whole other like new power that we haven't really run into. This religion of the moon. Okay. To preserve his dear friend's pure childlike dream, the Torchforger did not shy away from defending it before the Sadis' court. And though he received a royal edict he took upon himself the oath of vigilance and sacrifice, and thus began the history of the paradise known as Nordkrai. So I'm assuming the oath of vigilance, same oath of vigilance taken by its original owner. So this set was owned by this Torchforger. Okay. A hat ornament intricately crafted from the feathers of a nightingale. That's a lot of mythology right there already. They say that its form was first conceived by the original torch forger. Legends told of a nightingale carrying an ember in its beak that flew only on moonless nights. A speck of fire that would streak across the firmament like a shooting star, a light in dark dreams or dark times. Upon the ancient ruins of a castle, a vestige of an age of pioneers, stood the high tower of the Lightkeepers, standing guard through the long night. Centuries had passed since their ancestors had stood before the Tsaritsa, swearing an oath of eternal fidelity, and the people living in paradise believed that so long as their lighthouse stayed lit, they could live in freedom, neither fearing the chaos wrought by the pitch-black beasts, nor needing to seek refuge in the lands to the north. Neither fearing the chaos wrought by the pitch-black, nor needing to seek refuge in the lands to the north. Then one night, a chilling sound carried over the horizon's edge. The leader of the wild hunt was abroad, galloping across the night sky. As ever, the night watchers laid down their great animal skin cloaks, yet that day the sun rose not. Shama? What the fuck? Leader of the wild hunt. Okay. As the rallying horns echoed through the hills, warriors formed ranks at the high tower's foot, awaiting that momentous command to march south in fulfillment of their ancient vows. Yet in the great mead hall, the current Starshina sat in silence. For already a mighty host, bright as midsummer's day, had reached the city gate to the north. Okay, senior military rank. Okay. Interesting. Spelled it differently. Oh, they do that. Warriors of the Pale Star, why do you choose this moment to knock at Pyramida's gates? Even you have no right to revoke the sacred powers bestowed upon us by Her Majesty the Tsaritsa. Though they claimed to be reinforcements, these uninvited guests had ulterior motives, as the Starshina knew full well. But to yield at this juncture would spell the end of the autonomy they had upheld for centuries past. Pyramid. Oh, okay, I guess. Knock the pyramid's gates. From beneath the lead officer's mask came a voice, low and cold, and in its wake a mocking laugh from parts unknown. That is where the dark calamity began. Remember, Snezhnaya cannot bear the weight of your defeat. Warriors of the Nightingale, fight with all your might, yet should none of you return, then we will have to take care of the aftermath. Okay. Lead officer's mask. It sounds like Piero. Could be also Capitano, but yeah, I don't know. Okay. Undying one's morning bell. Good. Jesus. Okay. A bronze bell that was carried by a warrior who walked through the dark abyss. The only issue with Piero is Kanaria. Yeah. Peal can be heard on pitch black nights. Okay. The air was thick with the scent of blood, as if signaling the return of the great war by which the earth had been scorched. With a great mournful wail, that army of spirits flew across the pitch blackness of the night sky. According to the folktale spread through the countryside, they were said to be a demonic host from another world seeking the harvest of souls. Others believe them to be lingering phantoms of that ancient nightmare. It was this calamity that the people of the Borderlands referred to as the Wild Hunt. No cry, okay. All right, see you, Rico. Thanks for popping in. Okay, it was this calamity that the people of the Borderlands referred to as the Wild Hunt. If it had been no... Okay, so this... I wonder if this is Cataclysm. It's gotta be, right? Army of spirits flew across the pitch blackness of the night sky. But that sounds different from how the Cataclysm was originally, like... We have a lot of accounts of what the Cataclysm was like. That doesn't sound like any of them. Because most of the time it's referred to as the Black Tide. This thing that's roiling across the ground, like I think of Talking Stick, right? Of this thing that comes, like, yeah, like roiling over. But this is we haven't like really gotten anything flying over the sky, right? This also has to be pretty recent history because we're talking about the Fatui here, so yeah. If it had been no more than a summer storm ravaging the sky with thunder and lightning, it might have seemed a small mishap to those accustomed to a life of adventure. But when that tempest, the likes of which had not been seen for a century, poured down upon the earth like black blood rain, only then did the people realize that these terrifying legends, which had been passed down by their ancestors, were not mere stories meant to frighten children, but born instead of a terror that coursed through their very veins. But in the end, it was a terror that someone had to face, lighting the way for the souls wandering through the boundless dark. A black-feathered flock of crows moved between the realms of light and shadow, led by one who stood against the light. His sword he silently raised, the face reflected in its sheen as sharp and unyielding as the blade itself. Onward pressed the oath-bound legion, though they knew they were as moths to a flame, marching onto that battlefield from whom none would return. At the end of the path, only the one who held the dark blade still stood. He knew that deep within the forest lurked the foul force by which the Wild Hunt had been summoned forth. Just a little more, a little further, and he would have saved the land he had sworn to protect. Lost in his thoughts, he failed to notice that his body had already been torn asunder, and that the warning bell he carried rang out, hissing amidst the tearing of blood and black muck. Perhaps frightened by its unsettling chime, the carrion feeders around him faltered, frozen in their tracks. Thus he was left to walk alone in the abyss to fulfill an as of yet unfulfilled oath. As many years went by, a new addition was woven into the folklore of the land. That whenever mournful bells toll, it is a sign that one who swore to hunt down the Wild Hunt is approaching. It gives me very I have no mouth and I must scream vibes right there. New destructive event unlocked. My guess is the Torchforger was perhaps alive during the Cataclysm and the rest comes later. That would make sense for the most part, I think. Yeah, no, because the Tsaritsa would have been around during the Cataclysm. So yeah, I this definitely has to be the Cataclysm. It's just weird that it's from the sky instead of what we've heard it as described as before. That's so weird. A horn unwinded. A horn that was once used to summon those who had sworn oaths. It has long since lost its purpose. When the horns proclaimed the northern realm's might, thunderous footsteps shook the earth. like iron rails stretching across the frozen tundra, sending pale flames shooting across the land. A contingent, shooting across the land. A contingent sworn to Her Majesty the Tsaritsa, whose loyalty lay with no single harbinger, vowed to forge a pure new world beneath the white glimmering stars. Wait. A contingent sworn to Her Majesty the Tsaritsa. Okay, so I think this is saying this is the Fatui. The Fatui are sworn to Her Majesty the Tsaritsa and who have loyalty with no single harbinger, but all of them instead. Even those dwelling in the borderlands, autonomy being bestowed upon them, remain children of the motherland. For in her boundless love, the Tsaritsa abandoned none who chose to follow. Since his earliest years, the warrant officer who led this border squad had held his conviction firm, until he hovered before the very gates of hell and glimpsed those souls unloved by any. That's culty. The request to strike had yet to be sanctioned, but he had already made up his mind. We journeyed this far to save innocents beset by merciless calamity. How could we stand by as those pitch-black beasts devour the land, snatching away the lives of mothers and their children? If this was what those in power called an order, then to hell with it. I think the core of the wild hunt could be a remnant of it, unless it ties with the other. This just doesn't feel like... Because here's the thing, right? The cataclysm was the wrath of the gods. But also, it does give Abyss, though. Like, that's the weird thing, is the cataclysm we know was the wrath of the gods, had nothing to do with the Abyss. But this whole, everything about the wild hunt makes me think Abyss. Or the other shore, or whatever. Like, is this something that lurks outside of the safety of Teyvat? Is something, could it be tied to another god or entity? Exactly, that's what I'm thinking. Like, to me, what it sounds like is Nordkrai is not supposed to exist, right? Like, Nordkrai is kind of this thing that is, like, is kind of an affront to the laws of Teyvat, right? It's kind of this, an extension that isn't supposed to be there. Because the light of the light tower, the lighthouse is shining moonlight upon this area that should otherwise be completely dark, right? That's kind of what I'm getting from this. So do we think that the beasts of that Nordkrai is facing are different from the Abyss? Or is it a more, like, I want it, because right here it's saying, how could we stand by as those pitch-black beasts devour the land? So I'm wondering if the land here is in reference to all of Teyvat. Do we think that, like, in my head, it almost feels like the beasts that Nordkrai has faced are a more primitive form of the Abyss, almost? Like, more feral? Is kind of what the Wild Hunt makes me think of. If this is what those in power called order, then to hell with it. So this is very much a, like, this is, yeah, this makes me think that the Tsaritsa is actually the better Archon here, because this idea is like, this to me is saying we're gonna rebuild Teyvat just to go like do away with the Abyss, which I have a feeling is gonna end up Madoka Magica style. I don't think that's gonna that is gonna be a cure-all. I definitely think there's still gonna be an evil power, like with Madoka Magica, but we'll see where that goes. Thus was the foul miasma swept away by the northern winds, just as the first light of dawn pierces the coal-black clouds, its glow once more cast down by the cerulean earth below. The war had ended, yet to the high tower no triumphant hero returned, only a criminal and the children he had risked all to save. Though the plan had strayed slightly from its course, the renegade doctor paid it no heed, for the goal had been achieved. Okay, so the guy that showed up earlier, that was Dottore. Yeah, this is Dottore. Okay. The goal had been achieved. Desertion, treason against the Tsaritsa, grave crimes indeed, yet absolved by a newly sworn oath. Upon the staircase built of bones, new warriors took up their watch, there to stand till the abyssal tides dried up. Didn't let Natlan get rid of it? No. They... Because, like, the Abyss is still exists. Just elsewhere in Teyvat. It's just the Abyss's presence in Natlan is no longer nearly that interwoven with Natlan's existence. Like, the Abyss still exists, but it's just not as... But and it still exists elsewhere in Teyvat. I'm thinking that the Tsaritsa wants to hit reset on all of Teyvat, and in my eyes, it almost feels like the Abyss is this sort of like, yeah, it just feels like Madoka Magica to me. Like the whole, like, I don't know if I don't know who here has watched that show, but for those that have, kind of get where I'm going, right, with the ending of Madoka Magica. That's kind of that's what I imagine, like, I thought it was like the Abyss only existed in other other worlds and was out of Teyvat. It's unclear, like, because what I'm thinking here is the Abyss. For a while, we thought it was the other way around. We thought it was only the Abyss only exists in Teyvat. It doesn't exist anywhere else. But with HSR, we're starting to think that's possibly not the end. Like, that's not true. Like, it's really strange. Okay. An ancient heavy helmet, it is an heirloom that bears the mark of a venerable lineage of northern warriors. It is said that the first torch forger hailed from a wintry city of the furthest north, the Nightingale's emblem, a mark of his illustrious heritage. Originally engaged as spies, the family was elevated to the gentry by the Winter Tsar, and thus did this man of humble origin step into the royal palace. Yep. Now mingling among the fey dignitaries of the court. Silly court. When the nations found themselves swept up by that calamity, the frontier regions, once the locus of high hopes during the pioneering age, found themselves bereft of the gods' protection. Yeah, that's the cataclysm. In Nordkrai's darkest hour, from the north came only a single rider clad in dark silver armor. As if knowing why he had come, the Maiden of the New Moon lit a beacon to dispel the darkness. Yeah. The family was elevated by the gentry by the Winter Tsar. Yeah, because Tsar is probably going to be masculine. Tsaritsa is feminine. So, yeah. On the eve of the departure from the Lempo Isles of the South, a grand bouquet was held for the warriors in the Great Mead Hall. Of those present, the most striking was undoubtedly a certain young warrior, clad in a dark tasseled helmet, polearm clutched in hand. Among the Ratniki of the time, few are those who still wore such archaic, cumbersome armor, for it symbolized their bloodline as descendants of those warriors who first fought alongside the Torchforger to repel the Black Tide. Despite having neither fief nor noble title, they continued to uphold the oaths of their ancestors. For they believe that somewhere out there, the Lord of all Fae, an erstwhile protector of all Snezhnaya, watched over them still. Yeah, so it's definitely, what's his face? Yeah, previous Cryo Archon, Mask. Masculine. Amidst the sludge-sullied tundra, now soaked in the blood of heroes, the young warrior knelt among the bodies of his fallen comrades. Sacrifice had always been the Ratnik's fate and honor, but if he could save one more soul, rescue just one other, then all the better. And so, like his ancestors before him, he prayed to an old god that no one now called upon, as well as to the Nays he had once held dominion over. Perhaps awakened by the sound of the horn, or drawn by the long-forgotten scent of bloodshed, or maybe just out of boredom, somewhere out there, as if in answer to his pleas, a long-dormant phantom stirred from slumber. That ghostly blue wildfire of which ancient legends spoke would burn briefly anew on fresh fields of battle. Sealy. Right? That's 100% Sealy's. On fresh fields of battle. There's a lot in that. Holy shit. Good lord, both of these artifacts are crazy. I'm trying to like wrap my head around any of that.
Noise.
Wow, okay. First one. Second one, let's do it. So, finale of the Deep Galleries. Deep Galleries' echoing song. An icy flower fashioned from Northland jade. Over the course of his long life, its petals have crumbled to dust. Okay. Following her master's guidance, the girl ventured northward, traversing the freezing wastelands in the corridor of fractured mirrors at the edge of the frozen sea. After slaying countless monsters that wandered the ruins, finally, before the withered husk of a silver tree, she got a glimpse of treasure concealed beneath drifting snow. Yep. Starting off strong. Wow. Okay. That was when the silver moonlight had yet to be shattered in the fires of war, when the divine prophecies of the heavens still extended over the land. The youth who had ventured deep into the earth's bowels met the first angel, inquiring about the most forbidden origins of the world. The Dawn Daughter trembled at the profane words, not knowing how this mortal had uncovered such a closely kept secret. But her visitor laid bare his origins before her, singing to her dreams of beauty that had never yet graced her mind. Wait. Shama? Wait. Oh, yeah, okay. Her visitor laid bare his origins before her. So I'm assuming his in the situation is Sertology? I don't know what this do with this pronoun swap is. In an instant, the fetters laid upon her by the enthroned ruler broke apart like a spider's web. For the first time, she discovered what it meant to serve herself. And to the one she loved, she poured out the matter of creation, that most forbidden and unspeakable secrets. Alas, that your ruler would dare to blaspheme such noble beings. Even the demonic sculptors of bloody nightmares, who delight in tormenting souls, would be taken aback by such cruelty. O Dawn Maiden, who has never known love, let me stand as the enemy to your laws. Raise your eyes to the stars as you should, for the sake of all beings imprisoned by your ruler. She's the angel, he is... Okay. The girl at the start is someone else. Okay. Okay. Oh, because the youth who adventured deep in... Okay, so for some reason we get a POV shift because this is Skirk. This is someone else. Okay. Let me be your sword, your shield, your guide, your unpardonable conspirator in rebellion. Then did she, most exalted of the angels, bend down and kiss his forehead, as countless icy blooms unfurled on the frigid silver tree. Yet this moment of betrayal did not go unwitnessed, for at that very moment the heavenly moons peered down through the cloak of clouds, a longing still more audacious arising within them. Primordial one. First angel. I don't know who the youth would be. Logi, maybe? I don't know. Okay. Deep Gallery's distant pact. A feathered accessory fashioned from Northland Jane that shimmers with an otherworldly glow. Following her master's guidance, the girl ventured northward, traversing the freezing wasteland and the corridor of fractured mirrors at the edge of the frozen sea. After slaying countless monsters that wandered the ruins, finally, among the abyssal remnants, she caught a glimpse of treasure concealed beneath drifting snow. Okay, so the same thing. So do they all start like that? Yeah, okay, so it's just a different thing. So for here, withered husk of a silver tree, she caught a glimpse of treasure concealed beneath drifting snow. Okay, so before the withered husk of a silver tree, says the German soul. Abyssal remnants, so something abyssal. Huh. And interesting. Yet she was not the first outsider to set foot here, for long before the scions of the far north had woven their sweet dreams of submergence, a voyager, whose sentient will traversed the cosmos, once made a vow of reunion with the Lord of Dragons who had yet to fall into darkness. Okay, one of the descenders, probably Sartology. This passerby was a scribe, drifting through the vast void, duty-bound never to commune with primordial civilizations. As her undying body slumbered away within a distant celestial disk construct, her mind had drifted through an empty expanse spanning many light years, charting countless people and civilizations fated to perish, pondering the ultimate truths of the cosmos in that eternal darkness, until a faint glimmer pierced her awareness, jolting the voyager from tenfold millennia of meditation. Yeah, okay. Weird. It came from an unremarkable little world at the edge of the spiral arm, and from the primeval dragon that had been born alongside that world. Though death would one day bring an endless night, and the sun it gazed upon was but a fleeting ember, this will, bound though it was to its planetary crust, shone more brightly than the civilizations the Voyager had ever seen. Unable to suppress the wonder and sorrow welling up from within, she delivered a solemn pronouncement unto its ruler. I have seen the lightless end tearing through star clusters like a spindle among silken threads. I have seen how the cold tides of chaos drown out all songs so that good and evil alike vanish into silence. And yet, my kind, gentle king, will you still refuse to abandon your people? Forsake this world fated for ruin and journey with me beyond the stars. Whoa, okay. What are your overall thoughts on Long Night's Oath? So many thoughts are happening in my head right now. I'll get back to it. And thus did the proud dragon reply, "O friend from a distant world, I thank you for imparting these truths from beyond the skies. But though in your eyes they may seem ignorant creatures, to me they are the very meaning of this universe. If the tide of oblivion must come, then let my bones be the bulwark that shields this realm. Bear witness to the path I have chosen, for I shall lead my people onwards to the stars." What the fuck? But when the Voyager returned once more, the world she remembered had been utterly changed. The bones of the earth had bound beneath fourfold shackles, and the soft white radiance of the sky had been split into 7 immutable hues. Like drifting smoke had the Lord of Dragons vanished, and the Winged One's throne now ruled the radiance of the 3 moons. Bewildered by the dragon's unannounced departure, yet unwilling to disturb the new world's ruler, the Voyager, defying the laws of her kin, quietly cast her mind into the world inside the shell. Vesting her consciousness in the body of a youth, she walked among those chordate animals, listening to their fervent and ever-escalating debates in the city of gold. Okay, so this is the elements. Yeah, that's the 7 elements. It's primordial one. The radiance of the 3 moons. Fourfold shackle or celestial nails? Oh no, those are 4 shades, never mind. Oh, don't do that. Okay, that's the fall. That's the firmament. What the fuck? Okay, so this passerby was a scribe drifting through the vast void, duty-bound never to commune with primordial civilizations. I wonder if this is Alice. I wonder if it's Alice, because so we know how Alice is, right? We know, like, this might be a bit of a stretch, but to me, like, with the fact that Alice is the author of like the guides, and she's known for writing and for storytelling, I wonder if that's who she is. A distant celestial disk construct is so weird. Undying body slumbered away within a distant celestial disk construct. Her mind had drifted through an empty expanse spanning many light years. So she's pretty much just astral fucking projecting. Civilizations fated to perish, part of the ultimate truth of the cosmos in that eternal darkness. That's weird. I don't understand how that works. So yeah, so Alice is, assuming this is Alice, a Voyager. Then I did, guys. Okay. Interesting. That is so weird. So I have seen the lightless end tearing through star clusters like a spindle. Okay. And yet, my kind gentle king, will you refuse to abandon your people for this world fated for ruin and journey with me beyond the stars? Okay. Astral projecting, recording info. She noticed Nibelung's will and astral projected to tell him, yo, get out of this world is doomed. But Nibelung said no. Yeah, that's kind of what I'm getting. Okay, so Skirk continues going northward. After slaying countless monsters, finally before the Golden Tower, so in the Golden City that she originated from, she caught a glimpse of treasure concealed beneath the drifting snow. That was an era now lost to memory, when the city of the far north glittered like golden threads over the frozen wastelands. And the furnaces of the deep galleries thundered day and night, turning to forbidden methods. Artisans forged countless face spirits upon the bones of giant beasts. Having spun fallen frost's moon light into flawless flesh and blood, they clad it to forms once frail and weak. Such authority to create was once the Lord of the Firmament's divine prerogative, yet it was handed to mortals by the rebellious envoy, we did know about that, who dreamed that one day these little creatures might create a perfect being that could merge with the world. Within the deep galleries, which still stood intact, the first angel whispered sweet dreams of the coming dawn to her companion. I see a time when the earthly nations will yearn no longer for heavenly mercy. The cities they build will rise up to the clouds, higher even than the throne and the stars. I see humans sharing the vast sky with the gods they once revered. There will be no more tears, sorrow, or death, for all will be complete. Huh. Yet in the end, such wild delusions and ambitions were brought down from the heavens, and with them fell deep blue crystal spikes, celestial nails. The face shrieked as they turned into icy silvery mist, and in the space of a single night, the splendor of the golden city was ruined by frost-laden winds. Okay. This is stuff we know already, but this is extra context. The traitorous envoy was stripped of both name and form, and from that moment onward, a curse fell upon her kin. If they dared gaze into another's eyes and to one alone offer the love that was meant for all, then not only would their divine beauty crumble into the winds, but their mind would fall to dust, until from the fallen one's remains a Celia would rise, forever drifting in search of fading memories to consume. That's like Tsaritsa shit. Okay, so Tsaritsa is is Tsaritsa a Sealy? She's gotta be, right? Okay, so this, okay, no, I'm sold. This is the Tsaritsa. Okay, so here's the idea, right? Here's the idea. We're looking at the first angel whispered sweet dreams of the coming dawn to her companion. So that's the Voyager transition, trans king, whatever. Tsaritsa is Sela, yeah. No, so I'm thinking she is a Sealy because here's what I'm thinking. I see a time where the earthly nations will, so pretty much independence for the gods, right? She's espousing her desire for a world that does not rely on the gods, that is, you know, its own thing, its own world, yada. That tracks with what we know that Tsaritsa wants. She wants to create this new world in which is independent from the gods. Winter's Night's Lazzo. We all know that, right? This maps really evenly 1-to-1. Part 2, right? She is deeply in love with the Voyager, right? She's in love with the Voyager. So a major motif with the first angel is this idea of love and rebellion against the gods due to love. And then also all of this ice and snow and cryo stuff, right? All like we're talking about Skirk exploring this wasteland that used to be the land for the first angel and the Voyager, right? It gets swept over by snow and ice and cryo. And then the treacherous envoy, which is still the angel, remember, because angels and envoys are the same thing, was stripped of both name and form from that moment onward, a curse fell upon her kin. Her and her kin, which is the Sealies. If they dared gaze into another's eyes, and to one alone offer the love that was meant for all. Because the first angel... No, okay, but here's what I'm thinking, Phantom. Archon can the being that is in Archon can exist before they become an Archon, right? You can be chilling for a while before you become an Archon. And we know that really anything can become an Archon as long as it is sentient and whatever, because, you know, Venti. What the fuck is Venti? Who knows? Not a person. Was a being of some sort, right? So I'm thinking this is the origin story of the Tsaritsa, possibly? Or at least is very tied to Snezhnaya. Okay. Alone, she walked through the ruins of the Spiral Abyss, intent on finding the trail of the Voyager that the magical Swordmaster had spoken of. Wait. A cup fashioned from the Northern Jade. They say that the people of an ancient civilization once used it as a ceremonial vessel to make offerings to the heavens. Okay. Okay. That was a time when silver moonlight still showed mercy upon the lands of the far north, and the envoys of the heavens still gazed down upon the dust and mud. Having angered the divine envoys by questioning the progress of knowledge, the people of the Golden City now argue endlessly amongst themselves for how to quell their wrath. The priests accuse each other of sacrilege, of defiling the love, prosperity, and wisdom of the gods. See the love there? Amongst themselves, they sought to identify the chief culprit, for it was their intention that the one responsible for corrupting the people's minds would likewise be the one to appease the divine envoys. Yet, all of a sudden, a voice was heard. If sin comes from the pursuit of knowledge, then ignorance is the true doctrine. If from rebellion, then only the Lamb is truly righteous. If sin must be atoned for with blood, why is it said to stem from humanity? If the laws are perfect and flawless, why fear the active inquiry? It was merely a boy of humble birth who, having somehow slipped past the watchful guards, had stepped into the chamber where the priests had convened. All of their scholarly accusations he refuted in turn, their charges of heresy produced to naught but angry, speechless glares. In that silent chamber, the chief priest who wore the white-branched crown finally dismissed the guards who had rushed in. O heretical speaker, if, as your eloquent words suggest, you truly hold that grievous sin is but the delusion of mere mortals, then let you be the one to drink from this cup of burning wrath. Go to the ashen silver tree and plead your case before the very envoys who have cast judgment upon us. And so the previously unknown youth ventured forth into the deepest recesses of the earth, seeking answers from the first angel. After slaying countless monsters that wandered the ruins, finally, through a tattered veil, she caught a glimpse of a treasure concealed beneath the snow. It was an age when the unknowing masses still bowed to the sky's decrees, when the dawn star's royal court still hung high above the clouds. That sounds like Celestia? Okay. Magnificent noble creations descended from the light itself, and the mortals, unable to look upon their true visages, called them angels. Their pale silver wings shimmered like moonlit flames. Their heads were adorned with crowns of sevenfold radiance, elements, wrought of the bones of the earth and the stars of the sky. The name upon those crowns was the love promised unto all creatures by the heavenly God, or perhaps a mandate to rule over the nations of the earth. Okay, so the name upon those crowns was the love promised unto all creatures by the heavenly God, or perhaps a mandate to rule over the nations of the earth. All right. With all your heart, soul, and might, you shall love all the beings of this earth. You shall love as morning dew longs for the dawn, as seeds long for the trade winds. They were the most loyal servants in the heavenly court, flawless arbiters of justice. They wove a veil for the great ruler of the firmament, delivering sacred revelations to all realms. Such was the duty invested upon them at the moment of their creation, or so it should have been, until the first angel met an unnamed youth beneath the silver tree in the far north, and in those star-like pupils saw a reflection of herself she had never yet known. It was a love not inscribed by law, a freedom the skies would never permit. As her heart fluttered for reasons she could not know, the eternal star crown forged in love's name suddenly fractured, and casting it into the snow beneath the silver tree, the dawn maiden made her fateful vow. Come now, come, let us recast these absurd laws with bone, and nourish the barren north with blood. Let us build a city and a tower that soars up into the clouds, that the people of the earth need weep bitter tears no longer. I cast this useless crown into the dust, that all earthly nations may breathe free of their shackles. It is the Tsaritsa. It has to be the Tsaritsa. Space lesbians? I think it's lesbians. It has to be the Tsaritsa. See, the Golden City, yep, resembles the ancient city in Hyperborea, which potentially located now in Sejnaya. It has to be the Saudi. What's your other theory? Oh, it ties with Conrad creation? Makes sense. I don't... Because the fact that this is all far north is kind of what ruins the Conria theory for me. Because we know where Conria is. Like, geographically, we know where Conria is. It's not there. It's not north. Here's an idea, Phantom. ¿Por qué no los dos? Like, why is there a reason that both of those theories can't be true? What if the Tsaritsa? What if this is the Tsaritsa, and she is tied to we only know the entrance though. Maybe it spans way up north underground. I find that unlikely considering how far north we're talking here. Like this is like theoretically this is up there, right? Like and this is outside the bounds of Teyvat too. Right? So like I mean, it's possible, but I wouldn't describe a city like if a city or a nation was so big that it spanned multiple climates, I would not call that north, right? Unless Conria has multiple cities inside it, but that's not. I don't think that's true. Right? This is so specifically like north of Teyvat. I think the issue is the time when this happens. No, we know when this happens. The setting is very strange. Yeah, no, but we know this. We know when this happens because there are so many events that are mentioned here that we know the dating of. Because this is when the Divine Envoys were still around. This is before the Archons ever existed. This is all that stuff, right? This is before the Sealies all died. This is literally the Sealy story. When was Conria made true? Okay, yeah, that's a good point. When was Conria? And also with like, there was a line in here that said like it was buried or something. Like that was weird. Because like, what was Conria always underground? Because unless Celestia just decided to up in like world edit Conria underneath the Cimmerio Desert, I don't believe that it was north. But like yeah. But another thing I'm thinking is the love motif is very much. I'm very convinced that that's the Tsaritsa. That the first angel was the Tsaritsa. It's gotta be. Like, there's no way it wasn't. And then I'm thinking, nurse the Baron north with blood. Cast the useless crown into the dust, that all earthly nations may breathe fire of their shackles. Breathe free of their shackles. Records of Duayin, we've already carried that. So then my next question is, what is Skirk having to do with any of this? Like, why is... But that's also an interesting point. What is the Spiral Abyss doing here? Maybe descendant of Celes, but I can imagine the Heavenly Principles making a race they cursed an Archon. That's a good point. That's kind of what I've been debating here in silence. That is the one issue with that, is how does that work? But we also note of importance. We know that there was a... Okay. Here's a... This is a very complicated timeline thing. But we know that the events of this happen... Okay, let me pull up... let me pull up Paint. Because this timeline is going to get super convoluted, but there's a way that this works. Okay, so we know there's like 3 eras going on right now. There is before anything, but like this is all before Archons, before the death of the Celes, all of that stuff. This is where this artifact set happens, right? Then there is this section, which includes, so like this is gallery. Then this section is where the Tsar exists, because we know that there have been, with how Long Night's Oath work, like the things that Long Night's Oath mentions, that there have been 2 cryo archons. There has been the Tsar, and there has been the Tsaritsa. At some point, the power transitions. So the gallery is before Archons, then the Archons come about, and I'm assuming the first cryo Archon is the Tsar. But during this time, the Tsaritsa, or whatever, the first angel still exists. Right? The first angel still exists in this time. But then at some point, this third section is where the Tsar dies or stops being in power. And this is the era we're currently in, which is the era of the Tsaritsa. So the Tsaritsa is dormant in this section, and she goes into power here. The idea that I have in my head is at some point during this section, Heavenly Principles goes dormant. At some point in this section, the Heavenly Principles goes dormant. And so that might cause the Tsaritsa to be able to take up the mantle of Archon without the Heavenly Principles knowing anything about it. And that's possibly why she's been able to do all this shit, is because she's been the Tsaritsa, she's been the Archon for as long as the Heavenly Principles has been asleep, for the past 500 years. That's the idea that I have in my head. So the Tsaritsa sneakily takes up the handle. The Heavenly Principles, in my head, does not know that the Tsaritsa is the Archon right now. It would make a lot of sense if Heavenly Principles still believes the Tsar is the Archon, is the Cryo Archon right now. I'm also thinking that helps. The fact that the Tsaritsa does all of her operations through Piero. Right? Like, the fact that the Harbingers are kind of her... right, are her people, and Piero is executing her will. Because, like, I've always been fascinated by the choice of title that Piero holds, which is the director. He is the director of the Harbingers. And we know all about how the Harbingers have so many ties to theater specifically. All of their names are taken from the Commedia dell'arte. We know that in Winter's Night's Lazzo, that entire thing is supposed to be theatrical, like comes off as so weird. That is a performance that they're doing. Piero is the director of this troupe, right? A director is someone who takes the script of a play and turns it into an actual production. So the Tsaritsa is the one that is saying, hey, this is what I want to have happen. Piero, do it for me. Because if I show my face, if I show my form, if I am out there, that's rough, right? That's a little... that's sketchy. That's hedging my bets too much. I'm going to stay hidden, away. Nobody needs to know who I am, so we don't like ring any alarm bells anywhere. Piero's going to do everything for me. Harbingers are what happens when the theater kids get into a student council confirmed that he says the unlucky English teacher has to supervise them. I would say that the Tsaritsa is the super enthusiastic English teacher that encouraged them. I think she must have made another deal with one of the shades to regain her former mind. That could make sense. But Danny, I will also say that your idea of a descendant of the first angel makes a lot of sense too. I'm not discounting that. I think it's also possible that somehow a descendant, or like at some point during this section, the first angel changes form or does a little shape-shifting or something happens to it to become the Tsaritsa, so that the connection isn't immediately obvious, right? Like that's possible. A descendant, or like you said, changing a form, regain a former mind, whatever. That's also possible. But regardless of what, or regardless of how, we definitely, like, this to me is confirmation, or as close to it, that the Tsaritsa has a really, really strong connection to the first angel. Your theory, Tsaritsa is Greg. Hell yeah. Imagine we get to name the Tsaritsa and name her Greg 3. Because Renova disrespected Lord of the Night during the encounter, so maybe they do have some sort of authority and power. Yeah. I'm thinking that too. Greg 3 confirmed canon. That, yeah. So Tsaritsa could have used one of the shades to regain herself. Okay, yeah, I like that theory. I really like that theory. Everything is Istaroth. Everything is Istaroth. Everything is Istaroth. That would actually make sense. Like if the Tsaritsa, if Seelie Tsaritsa was like formless, and at some point during the Tsar's rule, she like approaches Istaroth and says, "Hey yo, girl, I need some help out. I need some help here." And Istaroth's like, "I'd sketch, but I'll do it for you. I just can't confirm that I will be around for much longer if I do that." And then she does it, and then there we go. And now Istaroth is gone, and the Tsaritsa is now the Archon of Love. Because the heavenly principles, and like here's another thing that makes me like think, right, that the Tsaritsa is doing all of this that the first angel wished for a world where humans have their own humanity, per the words of Dainsleif. Like, okay, how am I going to phrase this? A lot of stuff going on here. Like, so the first angel wanted all of these things, wanted the humans to have their own humanity, to live in spite of the gods, live for their own existence and not for what the gods wanted them to be. And so she wanted to build this world that flew above celestial, all that jazz. And she wanted to do that out of love for everyone, because in this, it's kind of saying that the heavenly principles, the priests accuse each other of sacrifice, of defying the love, prosperity, and wisdom of the gods. So there is this like idea of love that the heavenly principles and that Celestia has for the humans. To me, it almost reads as if the first angel was the only one that actually understood, or at least had an actual proper idea of love. Because that kind of ties back to what we see over here, of if this is what those in power called an order, then to hell with it. This is kind of the idea that these people hold, that the followers of the Tsaritsa, and I would assume the Tsaritsa have as well, is these humans are living in this state of constant torment in the threat of the abyss. That's not a good life. For everyone, that's not a good, that's torture. That's tormenting them. That's out of, like, if the heavenly principles were to actually truly love the people of Teyvat, then they would create a world that has none of those threats. That they wouldn't go to sleep for however many years and just kind of let chaos broil. They would make a world that is perfect, pretty much utopian. And so the Tsaritsa takes that into her own hands, because she truly has love for everyone. And I've been preaching this theory for years, right? Ever since Witcher's Eye Lasso came out, I have been preaching this idea that the Tsaritsa is in fact the Archon of Love, because she wishes to create a world that is better for everyone. She loves everyone so much that she's doing what she needs to do right now in order to create a world that's better for everyone. Is the philosophy sound? Arguable. However, it is possible. Like that is a philosophy that I think that she holds. I don't think they had better options. I also agree. I think that the Abyss is an immutable law of this world, that even that the heavenly principles cannot change. However, there is still the idea, again, it's kind of like entropy in Madoka Magica. No matter what form it takes, it has to exist. So, I'm kind of thinking of a similar thing. No matter what, Teyvat, by definition, by some definition, has to include something adjacent to the Abyss. What it is depends. In our situation, it is the Abyss, right? It's what we know as the Abyss. There has to be some sort of evil thing. It's the Honkai? Possibly. Very possibly. Find the Stellaron? Hell yeah. No, but there is something here by definition that like might require, this is pure speculation, but I feel like there's something in Teyvat that requires something entropic to exist. Some entropic force, some decaying force to exist. That in this situation manifests as the Abyss. For some reason, the Tsaritsa, either in delusion or fervent love, get it, delusion, believes that she alone can make a world that does not have these faults. That can make something perfect for everyone, right? That's what the Tsaritsa is doing. Good intentions? Meh. I mean, very, very good intentions. The method is questionable. I don't think the Heavenly Principles is great, but I do think they actually did everything they could. I do too. I wonder... Because the Voyager part to me implies that the Abyss threat existed before the primordial one. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. It almost feels like Teyvat exists because of a bunch of just slapshod solutions to a bigger problem. Right, like, it almost feels like nobody in power who has power to do anything is actually thinking things through enough. Or at least or possibly the Abyss is a bigger threat than we could have even first imagined. That these gods, all these incredibly powerful beings, cannot even fend it off or have to resort to these super violent means, aka celestial nails, whatever else, all the things that the Fatui are doing, in order to fight back against it. Because, like, we saw what the Abyss could do in Natlan. And the only reason why we were able to fend it off was because of two shades. Like, literally two fucking shades had to do shit. Or one shade in Renova? I forget. Voyager part explains that 3 moons are part of Teyvat, and the primordial one took them over. I wonder, actually. No, I don't think so. Anyways, the idea, or what I'm thinking, what I'm wondering is, were the moons like how do I do this? How do I like explain this? Like, in the story that we get in Moonlit Bamboo Forest, I think, with how the moons had to switch who was driving the chariot across the heavens, they had to switch that. And because they failed to swap, did they all die, right? I'm wondering, were the Moon Sisters like a firewall almost, and the primordial one is like a virus, kind of like? So I'm thinking, right, they're taking shifts. Like, I think that driving the chariot, I think driving the chariot is metaphor here for it is their turn to protect Teyvat, right? To isolate Teyvat from the rest of the world, right? Each of them take shifts for however long to hold the firmament in, like, or hide Teyvat or whatever, right? But because they failed to swap this one time, Primordial One found Teyvat, was able to slip inside and take them down. Tower defense satellites? Exactly. That's kind of what I'm thinking. Maybe hiding Teyvat in the Sea of Quana? Maybe that would make a lot of sense, right? Is like, were the Moon Sisters were like, Irminsul is the thing that allows Teyvat to exist inside of the Sea of Quana, but the Moon Sisters were the ones protecting it, right? Keeping it isolated, doing its thing, right? But then once one of them failed to do their shift change properly, they fucked up their shift change once. That left a hole, a very brief window for shit to get into Teyvat. And that's where the Primordial One gets in, and that's where Primordial One takes over their power, takes them down, so now no longer is Teyvat completely isolated from the rest of whatever's outside of it. That would also explain how the Voyager works, right? Because Sea of Quana isn't really a thing. Or existing in the Sea of Quana is much more esoteric than just regular existence. So describing the Voyager as slumbering in a disk, whatever the fuck that means, astral projection into the Sea of Quana makes a lot of sense to me, at least. I don't know how specifically it works. I don't know if that's a thing that has been established that you can do in the Honkai universe, but it makes sense to me, at least. We know, like, 2 civilizations that won against the Honkai, and it would be safer to hide. Exactly. Yeah, true. Because the Honkai is such a powerful voice, or such a powerful force, that it's easier to just avert its gaze than do that shit. On an Emanator probably good. That's also tying back to, is the Voyager Remembrance? Is the Voyager something Archon related, or not Archon, Eon related, from outside of the stars? Because, like, I'm imagining something like, spoilers for thousands and thousands and thousands of pages of the Stormlight Archives, but there's a character in the Stormlight Archive named Wit, aka Hoyd. Hoyd exists all over Brandon Sanderson's universe, right? He exists in pretty much every single series. But he plays a particularly important role in the Stormlight Archives. And at the end of book 5, Wit pretty much dies, and Hoyd wakes up again in a body that he stored away in another star system that he made as like a backup, because he knows shit was gonna go down when he went to the oh, what the fuck is this system? Roshar. When he went to Roshar, he knew shit was gonna go down, and so when Roshar pretty much gets fucking nuked, Wit dies and wakes up on another star system. And that's the epilogue of book 5. I'm wondering if it's a similar thing. If like this Voyager is just kind of popping around, right? Doing shit, and on their command or once they die or whatever, they just snap right back to their actual body that's fucking wherever. Imagine it's fucking Alice, or not Alice. Imagine it's Herta. No, like Otto and his clones. Yeah, kind of. I'm thinking very much like that. I'm also thinking. Never mind. My second guess was Noose. Possibly, yeah. Either Remembrance or Noose. My first bet is Remembrance. But I'm not entirely sure. Good lord, that is. We know Earth was hidden from the eons. True. That we do know that's confirmed now. So we can say that for certain now. That's ridiculous. Oh my god. It's coming together now, y'all. It's coming together. It is very much coming together. The one issue is that the Voyager is gendered. Otherwise, great theory. That is interesting. That the Voyager does change genders here. They do change genders, so it's interesting. No, but no, I'm saying as in the Voyager is an emanator, like, so very much gendered, but not an eon themselves. Starts off. I mean, they phase that. Yeah, true. Fair enough. But she starts off as a. Like, she is an eon of remembrance, possibly. Is what I'm saying. I'm not saying that she is remembrance, but because she is described as a scribe. So, and that's literally all we're doing with, like, think about what we're doing with Mem right now in HSR. We are a scribe. We are writing these stories of these people, in a way that honestly, I would expect it more of. I expect this sort of imagery to align more with Aha than anyone else, but it seems like this writing of stories, this sort of writing of stories thing, is remembrance domain instead of Aha. I'm deadly curious about the connection between Teyvat and Nature 3. I am too.
Need some?
I am too. I want to see.
Then I'll be leaving.
I like, yeah, with the right stories, right? The stories of the Flame Chasers. This is like that. Genshin M4 parallels drive me crazy. Same. It's ridiculous. I'm curious to see if my theory from fucking ages ago, that my theory from ages ago that that Teyvat exists next to the imaginary tree. I want to see if that is even close to correct, because it makes so much sense. I think it makes so much sense. Is the Voyager the one writing the archives? Huh. Edge of the twister. Yeah, at the edge of the spiral arm. It's spiral. I wonder. It would make sense that the Voyager is the one writing the archive, because I've always wondered what the diegetic explanation for this even fucking is. Like, what is this exposition? Like, where does this come from? Right? Like, who is telling the stories? And more importantly, does the Traveler know any of this stuff when they pick this shit up? All evidence points to no, but we're still getting this information from somewhere whenever we pick this stuff up. So I wonder if this is all stuff possibly written by that Voyager. I would love it. I would fucking love it if the artifact lore just starts speaking in first person. That would be so cool. That would be so fucking cool. Because HSR we know is Danheng? Yeah, exactly. So is there a diegetic like reasoning for that? So, okay. What is this? Huh. Okay. Sure. Mission. There were people saying Black Swan looks like the Vulcan moon. She does. I do remember that. Vulcan moon equals new moon because of the event. Yeah, exactly. It's a lot. It is a lot to chew on. That is so much to chew on. That's ridiculous. Okay. Here's a new theory that I'm gonna pitch here. Or maybe not a new theory, but like I want to formalize this idea that from now until we are proven otherwise, any information between HSR Amphorius and Genshin can inform each other. Obviously within limit. I'm not going to say that trivia exists in Genshin. No. I'm just saying, from now until proven otherwise, I am going to assume that HSR and Genshin are parallel stories. They are retellings of each other from different camera angles. So any information that we glean from Amphorius, we are going to use to inform things in Genshin. Now, are there problems with that right away? Yes. But I think at least in a thematic sense, that's going to be very useful. And that's going to hold at least for themes. For specifics, it falls apart pretty fast. But thematically, it's very useful. Especially with Shelley's idea that she pitched a couple streams ago that I'm still obsessed with. That Amphorius is Genshin's storyline from the point of view of the Fatui. The Flame Chase, I can't stop thinking HI3 is related somehow. True. Which means, at that point, do you think that Genshin is also Flame Chase? But we are watching the Flame Chase from the outside, from the outside in. That's like the best I got right now. The Fatui is at 13, yeah. The Harbingers as the 13, doing their own Flame Chase here. Now, do the numbers line up? No. But like, I feel like to an extent it tracks. My brain hurts. My brain fucking hurts, dude. Holy shit. That is so much. That is so much. I'm still sold on the Tsaritsa theory, though. I'm gonna champion that fucking theory. Like, I'm gonna I want to see what Ashika has to say about this, because I'm very curious. Ring gliders are already in display in HSR, so it's very likely retailing. Exactly. Wild thought. I doubt this will be the case, but absolutely wild thought. I will hate it if this is the case. I will hate it if this is the case. But what if? This is, again, completely stupid theory. No, like, anything. What if Amphorius is just a later Samsara of Teyvat? like 3 or 4 like samsaras removed from the events of Genshin. But it's the same world. What's my theory? Hoyo loves to retell the stories of different endings of the perspective. Okay, here's why I'm saying Amphorius is later, right? Is because of the web event. This is a really niche detail, and I do not know if it is considered canon or not, but in an HSR web event, it hinted at the existence of Yai Publishing House light novels being from a civilization long gone, existing in the HSR universe. So if that were the case, then Genshin happened a long time ago. Well, again, though, I do not know the canonicity of that. Of course, yeah, I publish. It's so funny to me. It's so fucking funny to me that the one thing that survives are light novels. Like, it's a cool note, though. I think it's cool. I think it's cool that that's the case. But, anyways, my voice is getting tired. I'm gonna call it for today. That is a ridiculous fucking theory. That lore is. Thank you guys for making me read that. That is insane. Batavia and Amphorius were all artificial. Yeah, definitely. They've got to be. They're not, or they're at least not natural. In the same way that any other planet is. They do be fucked up. Genshin is definitely before HSR events, current events, but we don't know when Amphorius falls. Yeah. We don't know the time difference, although it's been a long time apparently. Just by how that web event described those things, those books, the Yai Publishing House books. But anyways, thank you guys so much for tuning in. That was a fun stream. I don't know what's gonna happen for the next. Obviously 3.2 is gonna happen. I know there's a game that I do want to stream, possibly when it comes out. I don't know if I'm going to though. We'll see. Definitely though, at least 3.2 next week. Next Sunday we're gonna start it. I'm gonna pull for Casterus. Gonna go fucking nuts. And yeah. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. And I will see you guys later. So, bye-bye, y'all.